Welcome to the Fantasy Audiobook. Sign in for 3 years, starting from capturing the goddess. Chapter 1. In an antique great hall. Ning Luo slowly opened his eyes. He looked around, shocked in his heart. What is this place? I saw him in a hall. The hall was very spacious and there were a lot of people. Sitting at the top, a middle-aged person was sitting in the main seat. Next to the middle-aged man sat 3 old men with indifferent faces. Next to Ning Luo, there stood a 1-month-old man in a white robe. On the chest of the old man's robe, a silver light moon was drawn impressively. Around the light moon, there were 7 glittering stars dotted with gold. Next to the old man, there was a very beautiful young girl. The woman was dressed in a wide-sleeved, tight-fitting, moon-white robe, and she held it on the willow waist, and was tied with a light silver belt, just to show the slender waist perfectly. Occasionally, the graceful curve underneath is highlighted, the hands are like catkins, the skin is like fat, the eyebrows are crooked, and there is a faint tinge of dust and delicate, thousands of miles indifferent. This young girl is very beautiful, with a green jade pendant hanging from her delicate earlobes. When she shakes slightly, she makes a crisp jade sound, and a touch of delicacy suddenly appears. In addition, there are 3 gold stars painted beside the girl's exquisite little breast that has begun to develop. And he looked at himself again. He is also wearing a moon-white robe, with 5 gold stars on his chest. In other words, he and this old man and this beautiful girl are in the same group. How is this going? Ning Luo's heart was extremely shocked. I crossed it. He still remembers that he was an ordinary fan fiction writer in the 21st century. He had nothing but handsome. He remembered having a spring dream. After waking up from the dream, he came here. So, now I am, still in a dream, or have I passed through? He pinched himself. Some painful realism. It seems. I am not dreaming. So, it means, he passed through. If it is crossing, where is it? At this moment, Ning Luo saw a boy in black clothes walking into the great hall. Father, 3 elders, quickly stepped forward and bowed respectfully to the upper 4. Yun'er, here comes, sit down. Seeing the young man's arrival, the middle-aged man was very happy. Ning Luo heard the word, Xun'er, and had some doubts. However, Ning Luo was not sure yet. Seeing the boy coming, the old man next to Ning Luo hurriedly saluted and said, Clan Chief Xiao, we are here this time because we have important matters to discuss. Chief Xiao, Ning Luo heard another key message. Chief Xiao, Xun'er, could this be? At this time, I saw that Clan Chief Xiao immediately smiled and said, Haha, Mr. Zheyi, please tell me if you have anything, my Xiao family will definitely help. Ning Luo was completely surprised when he said this. This time, he was finally 80% sure. This is the world of fights breaking the sky. The old man next to him is Zheyi. Then, that girl, it must be Nalan Yanran. And own clothes are the same as them, that is to say, his current identity is the disciple of Yunlan. Ning Luo was extremely shocked. He was a fan fiction writer in his previous life, and he knew very well about Luo Dupa. Infer from these clues, Ning Luo had an incredible idea in his mind. Could it be that I have crossed into the world of Dupauchi? Yunlan, Xiao family. In other words, here now, it should be the most classic part of fighting and breaking the sphere retiring. But what is strange is that if oneself crosses, it should be through the soul, but why didn't you inherit the memory of the person who was crossed by yourself? Also, don't you always want to awaken the golden finger when you cross over? Where is the own gold finger? Leave it alone. Let's take a look. At this time, Zheyi looked at Xiaozan and said, Clan Chief Xiao, do you know who she is? She is. Xiaozan asked quickly. She is called Nalan Yanran. Zheyi said lightly. This statement came out. Both Xiao Yan and Xiaozan were shocked. Nalan Yanran, is it the Nalan Yanran who was engaged to Xiao Yan? I heard that she entered the Yunlan sect and became the first disciple of the Yunlan sect, and now she has soared into the sky. At this time, Nalan Yanran immediately politely stepped forward and said, Yanran has seen Uncle Xiao. Hearing that it was Nalan Yanran, Xiaozan immediately laughed and said, it turned out to be Nalan's nephew. I haven't seen you in a few years. You've grown up like this. The longer you get, the more beautiful you are. At this time, Zheyi didn't say much. Straightforwardly said, Clan Chief Xiao, this time we are here to discuss something important. This matter is about Yanran. At this time, Xiao was taken aback for a moment. He seemed to guess something. He quickly said, Mr. Zhe, please say. Clan Chief Xiao, you should know that Yanran is the core disciple of our Yunlan sect. Sect leader also said that Yanran's happiness must be controlled by Yanran. Therefore, we are here this time to hope that the Xiao family can terminate the marriage contract. Zhe Yi said lightly. Hearing this, Ning Luo understood in his heart. It seems to be correct. Here is the classic retiring session. I didn't expect that I would have traveled to the world of Duposphere and became a disciple of the Yunlan sect. More importantly, it was such a thrilling retiring process once it came up. Ka. The jade cup in Xiao hand suddenly turned into a pile of powder. Resolve the engagement. Xiao suddenly broke out with an extremely powerful grudge. Angrily, Zhe Yi was not a vegetarian either, and a strong grudge erupted and confronted Xiao. Ning Luo was suddenly shocked, and at this moment, a soft little hand suddenly grasped Ning Luo's hand. Ning Luo, big brother, for you, I will resign from Xiao Yan. Ning Luo looked back and saw Nalan Yanran smiling. For me, Ning Luo was extremely surprised. What exactly is going on? Why do you have no memory of crossing over by yourself? He was at a loss. Why did Nalan Yanran dissolve her marriage because of him? Does Nalan Yanran like herself? Ding, the system is binding. System binding successfully. Do you want to activate the system? At this moment, a mechanical voice suddenly appeared in Ning Luo's heart. Ning Luo was a little surprised. System, isn't this a plugin for the protagonist in his previous fanfiction? Could it be that I got a plugin and is about to open the road of invincibility? Isn't that a fool if the system doesn't activate? Activation. Ding, congratulations to the host for activating the goddess sign in system. Interact with the goddess judged by the system, and you can get the opportunity to sign in. The ways of interaction are holding hands, kissing, XX. Successfully held hands with the goddess Nalan Yanran, and got a chance to sign in. Goddess sign in system. Ning Luo was shocked. His plugin has finally arrived. What's the use of getting a sign-in opportunity? Ning Luo asked in his heart. If you get the chance to sign in, the host can sign in. When you sign in, you will get God-level rewards randomly, and will reward the powerful cultivation technique and medicine pill. Therefore, the host has to interact with the goddess more. Then this goddess, is there anyone besides Nalan Yanran? Ning Luo asked in his heart. Yes, when the goddess appears, the system will remind the host. Ning Luo nodded, and finally figured out the function of this system. Once you get an opportunity to sign in, do you sign in? Sign in. Of course sign in. There is a plugin, why not use it? I saw Ning Luo immediately shouted, sign in. Ding, congratulations to the host for signing in successfully and obtaining the supreme divine body. Suddenly, Ning Luo stood beside him, feeling that his own breath had changed in an instant. At this time, he suddenly found that own body was gradually changing. Ning Luo was overjoyed. It seems that I will interact with the goddess a lot in the future. At this time, he looked at the current situation. In the hall, the atmosphere was a bit quiet, and the three elders above were also shocked by Zhe Yi's words, but after a while, they looked at Xiao, and there was already a touch of ridicule. Hey, I was forced to dissolve the marriage contract by someone coming to my door. Look at you, the patriarch, what prestige is there to manage the family in the future? Several elders in the Xiao family looked at Xiao with sarcasm on their faces, as if they were going to watch Xiao's jokes. Looking at Xiao's extremely gloomy expression, Nalan Yanran also dared not look up, buried her head, her fingers tightly twisted together. Patriarch Xiao, I know that this requirement is a bit difficult, but please also look at Master Sect leader, dissolve the marriage contract. Zhe Yi said with a faint sigh, with a helpless sigh. Xiao clenched his fists, and a faint cyan grudge gradually covered his body, and finally faintly gathered into an illusory lion head on his face. Xiao's top cultivation technique, Mad Lion Fury. Level, Intermediate Profound Rank. Looking at Xiao's reflection, Zhe Yi's face suddenly became serious, and his body stood in front of Nalan Yanran. His hands like eagle claws were violently bent together, and the blue vindictive spirit gathered in the eagle's claws, exuding a small but sharp expression. Sword Chi. Yunlan Zong's profound cultivation technique, Qingmu Zhangju. Level. Mysterious rank is low. At this time, the breath of the two burst out instantly. In the whole hall, the swords began to be drawn. The three elders shouted sharply, but thunderously resounded in the hall, "Xiao Zan, don't stop. Don't forget that you are the patriarch of the Xiao family." The body suddenly stiffened, Xiao Zan's vindictiveness slowly converged, and finally disappeared completely. Xiao Zan looked at Nolan Yanran coldly, and said in a hoarse voice, "Nolan niece, so courageous, it is really enviable that Nolan has your daughter." The delicate body trembled slightly. Nolan Yanran said, "Xiao uncle. He, just call me Patriarch Xiao. I can't afford the title uncle. You are the sect leader of the Yunlan sect in the future, and you will also be a man of the Duki continent in the future. Xun'er in my family is just a mediocre person, and indeed is not worthy of you." Xiao Zan waved his hand indifferently, and said indifferently, "Thank you, Chief Xiao, for your understanding." Hearing this, Jie Yi was overjoyed, and smiled at Xiao Zan. "Patriarch Xiao, Lord Sect Leader knows that today's request is very impolite, so I asked him to bring something. Just treat it as an apologize." With that said, Jie Yi reached out and wiped a ring on his finger, and a greenish ancient jade box appeared out of thin air in his hand. Carefully opened the box, a strange fragrance filled the hall immediately, and everyone who smelled it was full of spirits. When everyone looked at Jie Yi's opened box, they were shocked instantly, their bodies shook violently, and they said in shock, "Gathering qi and dispersing." Gathering qi san, its function is to enable a 9-stage fighting qi to condense the fighting cyclone 100% successfully. This kind of special effect makes countless people who want to become a fighter as soon as possible to covet it, thinking about it day and night, and is not available. I heard that young Master Xiao fell below the fighter realm. I think this qi gathering can help young Master Xiao to return to the pinnacle of fighters. At this time, in the hall, everyone's eyes were red. The boys and girls looked at the qi san, licked their red lips, and stared at the box tightly. "Old Mr. Jie Yi, you should take medicine pill back. We may not agree to today's matter." At this moment, Xiao Yan spoke. The hall suddenly fell silent, and all eyes turned to Xiao Yan. On the big walk, Xiao Yan first saluted Xiao Zan respectfully, then turned to face Nolan Yanran, let out a deep sigh, and calmly asked, "Nolan miss, I want to ask. I regretted the marriage today. Father Nolan, did he ever agree?" Nolan Yanran's tone was flat and soft. "Grandpa never agreed, but it's my business and it has nothing to do with him. Since the old man has never spoken, please forgive me. My father will not agree to your request. The marriage was originally made by the elders of the two families. Now they have not spoken to dissolve it. Then no one would dare to explain the marriage. Otherwise, it would be blasphemy against the dead elders. I think no one in our family would do such a rebellious thing, right?" Xiao Yan turned his head slightly and stared at the three elders with a sneer. Coming over by a big hat like Xiao Yan, the three elders suddenly stopped speaking. In the strict family, this kind of crime was enough to make them lose their position as elder. Nolan Yanran was stunned by Xiao Yan for a while, but couldn't find a rebuttal. She was so angry that she stomped her feet heavily. Ning Luo looked at Nolan Yanran next to her, her body trembling a little. He knew in his heart that Nolan Yanran should like own. It was just that he had no memory at all when he crossed over, so Ning Luo didn't know what his relationship with Nolan Yanran was before. For Xiao Yan, Ning Luo only had disgust in his heart. When he was reading, he hated the protagonist. After all, Xiao Yan was a scumbag. Yunlan, Xiao Yishan, Medusa, Yafei, so many confidants treated him so sincerely, but what? What did he do in the end? He abandoned all his confidants and soared to the upper realm. Without marrying, not a scumbag, what is it? Moreover, when I read the novel before, I didn't feel anything, but thinking about it carefully, Nolan Yanran's resignation was not entirely wrong. Xiao Yan is a person who has crossed over. In the 21st century, marriage is free. Naturally, love is also free. However, Xiao Yan used the elders' agreement to kidnap him morally. It would be fine if he hadn't crossed over, but he was a person who had experienced modern society and said such things. What is this, not a scum? At this time, I saw Ning Luo slowly stepping forward, standing in front of Nolan Yanran and saying indifferently, "You are the elders who died in the Xiao family for moral kidnapping, you deserve it, Xiao Yan." "Who are you?" This is between me and Nolan Yanran. Why should outsiders talk too much? Xiao Yan suddenly became furious, looking at Ning Luo and said. At this time, Ning Luo walked out and stood in front of Nolan Yanran. He remembered when Nolan Yanran held his hand earlier. Called him Ning Luo Big Brother. In other words, even after crossing into this world, his name has not changed. Ning Luo looked at Xiao Yan and said, My name is Ning Luo. I am a disciple of the Yunlan Sect. Yanran is my junior, so why doesn't it matter to me? Ning Luo looked at Xiao Yan and said calmly, I heard that young Master Xiao from the Xiao family, although his anger and realm fell, is an open-minded person, but I didn't expect that you, Xiao Yan, turned out to be a coward. Why, your grudge realm fell, did your ambition fall together? Use deceased elders to morally kidnap my family Yanran, you mean, even if Yanran doesn't like you, she will marry you or not? Quote. You. Listening to Ning Luo's words, Xiao Yan was speechless. Ning Luo looked at Xiao Yan and continued to ask, Xiao Yan, let me ask you, have you seen Yanran before? Naturally I haven't seen it. Xiao Yan responded immediately. Since you haven't seen it, then you definitely don't know Yanran. Since you don't know Yanran, you don't even like it. Since you don't like my Yanran, then why are you so aggressive and refuse to quit your marriage? Ning Luo coldly asked. When I heard the words, my family Yanran. At this time, Nolan Yanran blushed. When Ning Luo Big Brother said so, she felt a little energetic. Ning Luo looked at Xiao Yan. Xiao Yan traveled through modern times, and naturally understood the love concept of marriage freedom in modern society. Parents' orders, the matchmaker's words, how can you just change it? At this time, Xiao Yan's body trembled fiercely, and slowly raised his head. Now, that delicate and tender face was hideous and hideous. Somewhat terrifying. Seeing Xiao Yan like this, Ning Luo knew that it was useless to say more. Originally he thought, Xiao Yan traveled through modern times. Naturally, this kind of free love view will be respected. Unexpectedly, he was threatened by his parents' orders and the words of a matchmaker. This Xiao Yan is not only a scumbag, but also a hopeless scum. Ning Luo turned to look at Xiao Zhan and said, Clan Chief Xiao, do you also think that Yan Ran must marry your son? In the mainland of fighting spirit, the woman regrets her marriage, which is an insult to the man. My Xun'er is the top of the clan in terms of talent and temperament. How can my Xun'er not be worthy of Nolan Yanran? Xiao Zhan said sharply. Unreasonable. Ning Luo smiled coldly. No matter where Xiao Yan is, he is not worthy of Yanran. Ning Luo said coldly. On fighting spirit, your Xiao Yan was indeed a genius before. I don't deny that he can grow up again in the future, but how can we dislike him because of his fighting spirit? What he is most unworthy of Yanran is his character. As a man with such a narrow mind, since Yanran doesn't like you, and you don't like Yanran, why don't you let it go? Ning Luo asked coldly. You. Suddenly, both Xiao Zhan and Xiao Yan were extremely angry. At this time, Xiao Yan's body trembled fiercely, and slowly raised his head. That delicate and tender face was now a bit terrifying. I really want to kill you. His teeth were shaking, and awe-inspiring words were leaked. Xiao Yan clenched his fists and his dark eyes were burning with angry flames. Xun'er, don't be unreasonable. Above the top, Xiao Zhan was also taken aback by Xiao Yan's actions, and hurriedly shouted that the current Xiao family can't afford to offend young Lanzong. With his fists clenched fiercely, Xiao Yan bowed his head slightly, and after a while, he lifted up gently, but the previous hideous horror had already turned into calm. Ning Luo looked at Xiao Yan extremely calmly, not worried that Xiao Yan would be in trouble. On his moon-white robe, there are 5 stars. In other words, the current Ning Luo is a 5-star fighter. And Xiao Yan was only a person in the 3rd stage of fighting spirit. If Xiao Yan dared to attack, Ning Luo could kill him at any time. Nolan Yanran, you don't need to make such a strong posture. If you want to divorce, it's nothing more than thinking that Xiao Yan is not worthy of your proud daughter of the day. To be mean, apart from your beauty, you can't look down on the other young masters at all. Quote. Xiao Yan finally erupted like a volcano. With a cold face and a single word, everyone in the hall was stunned. Who would have thought that the taciturn young man would be so profitable? At this time, Nolan Yanran hid behind Ning Luo. Ning Luo's eyes were cold, he laughed, and looked at Xiao Zhan and said, ha ha ha. Patriarch Xiao, have you heard that too? Your son also said that he is just greedy for the beauty of my family. That's all. Before, I heard that Xiao Yan of the Xiao family was a genius, but I didn't expect, now that his vindictiveness has fallen and he has become a trash who only loves beauty. I feel the losing face for your Xiao family. Quote, Yun'er, step back, Xiao Zhan said angrily. At this moment, Xiao Yan understood that he had said the wrong thing. Ning Luo, you are deceiving too much. Xiao Yan was furious, and the vindictiveness in his body gathered. You keep relenting, and I'll bully you, so what can you do? Ning Luo's vindictiveness ran away, and he just released his vindictiveness and directly shook Xiao Yan away. Bang! With a loud noise, Xiao Yan hit the wall. Puff! Xiao Yan spat out a mouthful of blood. At this moment, Xiao Zhan was furious and his son was beaten. How could he endure it? The wild lion is angry. Suddenly, a lion head gathered, and Xiao Zhan immediately slew towards Ning Luo. At this time, Ning Luo was not afraid, and said indifferently, Clan Chief Xiao, you moved me. I am afraid that not only your father and son, but the entire Xiao family, will not be able to gain a foothold in this city of Yutan. Xiao Zhan, don't stop. You forgot, are you the patriarch of the Xiao family? The three elders quickly stopped. This Ning Luo was a member of the Yunlan Sect. He offended the Yunlan Sect. I was afraid that the entire Xiao family would be annihilated. Ning Luo looked at Xiao Zhan and continued, if you moved me here and spread it out, what would others think of your Xiao family? When his son was divorced, his father became irritated and hurt the person who came to divorce. Even if my Yunlan Zong does not take action, the reputation of your Xiao family that has accumulated for hundreds of years will be ruined in your hands. Quote. After listening to the powerful relationship analyzed by Ning Luo, the fighting spirit gathered by Xiao Zhan slowly dissipated, and he understood that with their Xiao family, there was no way to fight Yunlan Zong. He looked at Ning Luo with a sneer and said, okay. Okay, it's a good method. He slumped on the seat, his face gray. Yun'er, give up, we can't beat Yunlan Zong. Xiao Zhan murmured. At this time, Xiao Yan slowly stood up, looking at Ning Luo with cold eyes. Ning Luo, 30 years in Hedong, 30 years in Hexi, don't bully the young and poor, today's shame, I will return it 100 times in the future. Hearing what Xiao Yan said, Ning Luo smiled lightly at the corner of his mouth, staring at Xiao Yan with contempt, and said, oh, isn't it? Seeing Ning Luo's expression like this, Xiao Yan was even more angry. Ning Luo, do you dare to make a 3-year appointment with me? Xiao Yan said sharply. Oh, a 3-year appointment. Ning Luo looked at Xiao Yan with interest. 3 years later, I will personally go to the Yunlan Zong to test with you. Today's shame will be washed away that day. Xiao Yan's eyes burned with the flame, extremely angry. Ning Luo smiled faintly. If this can make your self-esteem a little bit easier, yes, I'll wait for you. Xiao Yan was extremely angry and ashamed. But now, he can only swallow the shame in his stomach. All he has to do is to become stronger. Father, in 3 years, Yun'er will go to Yunlan Zong to wash away today's humiliation for you personally. The corners of his eyes were a little wet, and Xiao Yan squatted heavily, then straightened up, and went out of the hall without hesitation. Under the shining of the sun, the teenager's back was stretched extremely long, looking lonely and lonely. Xiao Yan left the hall with an indifferent expression. At this time, Xiao Zhan sighed, and then threw the marriage certificate to Ning Luo. This is the marriage letter between Yun'er and Nolan Yanran. From then on, my Xiao family and Nolan's family have nothing to do with each other. Xiao Zhan said coldly. Ning Luo looked at Xiao Zhan calmly. Xiao Zhan was a dare to act, and as for Xiao Yan, he was like the poppy rogue he encountered when he was a child. Obviously it can't be fought, so we will fight after the offer. Ning Luo hated such people a little. However, Ning Luo was not afraid, even though he knew that Xiao Yan would get the old medicine grandfather in the future, and cultivation base would continue to advance by leaps and bounds. But he now has a system. With this 3-year agreement of Xiao Yan, he can be spurred to continuously become stronger. Now that I have crossed into this world, Ning Luo is going to live a good life. After all, you have to become a duty to play, otherwise, you would be too sorry for your awakening system. Therefore, Xiao Yan's spurs will make him stronger. 3 years later, he wanted to defeat Xiao Yan upright. At this time, Jie Yi cupped hands said, "Then, thank clan leader Xiao for perfection, goodbye." Jie Yi walked out with Ning Luo and Nolan Yanran. To get out the door. Suddenly, Nolan Yanran hugged Ning Luo's hand in an instant. "Ning Luo, big brother, you were so handsome just now," Nolan Yanran said immediately. Jie Yi walked beside, smiled and said, "Ha ha ha. Now that's it, you two can be together." This statement came out. Ning Luo was dumbfounded. He has no memory of this world. Could it be said that before I crossed, and Nolan Yanran were really a couple? Nolan Yanran retired from Xiaoyan because of herself. Just when Ning Luo was thinking, there was a sudden sound in Ning Luo's mind. "Ding, contact the goddess Nolan Yanran and get a chance to sign in." "Do you sign in?" "Sign in," Ning Luo said immediately. "Ding, congratulations to the host for signing in successfully and obtaining the cultivation technique Tian Yanju. Tianyanju can evolve thousands of fighting skills. Cultivation Dacheng can become a strong fighting emperor. Does it learn automatically?" Automatic learning. Ning Luo did not hesitate at all. Automatic learning is successful. The host has learned this cultivation technique. Ning Luo's heart was extremely shocked. He didn't expect that this time, he signed for such a good cultivation technique. This day Yanju can evolve thousands of fighting skills, that is to say, owning this cultivation technique is equivalent to having a lot of fighting skills. Ning Luo was shocked. As long as you interact with the goddess, you can get the opportunity to sign in. So, what kind of interaction is needed to get it? For the first time, Ning Luo held hands with Nolan Yanran. For the second time, Ning Luo met Nolan Yanran. Ning Luo wanted to experiment. "Yanran, give me your hand." At this time, Nolan Yanran was a little puzzled, but how could she not agree to Ning Luo's big brother request? I saw Nolan Yanran stretch out her slender hand. Ning Luo gently put on own hand and led Nolan Yanran together. Suddenly, Nolan looked at Ning Luo in surprise. Pretty face is slightly red. Ning Luo, big brother. Nolan Yanran's young woman's posture, her face flushed, she was very pretty. But what surprised Ning Luo was, holding hands this time did not trigger the sign-in system. Is it possible to do different movements? Ning Luo thought for a while, then put his hand on Nolan Yanran's head. "Ding, touch your head with the goddess Nolan Yanran, and get a chance to sign in." "Do you sign in?" Ning Luo was shocked. It turned out to be so. Doing repeated actions does not get a chance to sign in. So, if you want to sign in, you must always unlock new actions. Sign in. Without any hesitation, Ning Luo signed in immediately. "Ding, congratulations to the host for signing in successfully and getting the full explanation of the medicine pill secret code. Medicine Pill Secret Book Complete Explanation, which records all medicine pills in the Duki continent. Does it learn automatically? Automatic learning. Automatically learning. Automatic learning is successful. The knowledge of medicine pill in the Duki continent has been stored in the host's mind." At this time, Yi Chen had already determined. Want to get the chance to sign in. It is necessary to constantly unlock a variety of new actions. Conduct various interactions with the goddess judged by the system. Since he and Nolan Yanran are in a relationship, then. A smirk evoked at the corner of Ning Luo's mouth. Just then, Ning Luo suddenly saw the front. A beautiful shadow is walking towards Ning Luo. I saw that it was a young girl in a purple dress, standing elegantly, with a calm and tender face, not changed by everyone's attention. The girl's cold and indifferent temperament is like the first bloom of a lotus. At a young age, she has begun to have a refined temperament. It is unimaginable, if she grows up in the future, how the girl will be all over the country. The girl in the purple skirt slipped down her purple sleeves with black gold threads on her small hands, revealing a piece of white and delicate wrists. The lotus step moved slightly towards Ning Luo. Ding, the system detects the second goddess, Xun'er, interact with Xun'er to get the chance to sign in. With the sound of the system, Ning Luo looked at the girl in front of him. Is she Xun'er? No wonder the temperament is so dusty. When I arrived in front of Ning Luo, I saw Xun'er involuntarily saying, slapped directly at Ning Luo. Xun'er suddenly struck towards Ning Luo. Ning Luo was shocked. The anger on his body suddenly broke out. With a raise of the jade hand, Xun'er took out a long sword from Najia, and flicked the slender finger on the hilt of the sword. The body of the sword turned into a black shadow and rushed towards Ning Luo. Ning Luo, big brother. At this time, Nolan Yanran immediately worried. Ning Luo said lightly, Yan Ran, don't worry. Looking at the long sword that flew by, Ning Luo remained motionless, letting the long sword swept forward with strength. Just then, Ning Luo ducked gently. She escaped Xiao Xun'er's attack in an instant. Ning Luo was a little surprised. How did his own body become so light? At this time, Ning Luo remembered. He signed into the supreme divine body before. Since it is a divine body, so the speed and strength will naturally ascension a lot. In Ning Luo's eyes, Xiao Xun'er's every move was seen by him. Ning Luo's calmness caused Xiao Xun'er to raise her eyebrows lightly, and a flash of surprise flashed in her beautiful eyes. A faint glance at Ning Luo, who was fully guarded, Xiao Xun'er smiled slightly and raised her slender hand. The long sword in her hand was like a snake coming out of a hole, passing a faint blue shadow in the air and slashing down at Ning Luo. The long sword flew through the air, and the slightly cooler air suddenly became a little more moist. Looking at the long sword that almost spanned more than 10 meters, Ning Luo's pupils shrank slightly, and he let out a sigh of relief. When the long sword reached the top of his head, his body suddenly moved slightly to the left. The long sword smashed down against Ning Luo's clothes with the energy of breaking the wind, and finally slammed heavily on the stone slab, and a pool of water stains quickly surfaced. After avoiding Xiao Xun'er's blow, Ning Luo's face was solemn, her feet stomped heavily on the ground, and her body arched slightly, immediately like an arrow from the string. He rushed to Xiao Xun'er. At this time, Xiao Xun'er was stabbed at Ning Luo. I saw that Ning Luo was extremely fast. With one hand, he hugged Xiao Xun'er's thin waist. Let Xiao Xun'er's sword pierce the air. Ding, hug the waist of the goddess Xiao Xun'er and get a chance to sign in. Ning Luo didn't have time to sign in at this time, so he waited for everything to be saved first, and then went back to sign in. At this moment, Xiao Xun'er was furious. Rogue, go to death. Xiao Xun'er pulled her long sword horizontally and decapitated Shang Shengren's head at Ning Luo. At this time, Ning Luo stretched out his hand and gently blocked it. The other hand slapped Xiao Xun'er's chest with a palm. Bang! There was a loud noise. Xiao Xun'er was shocked. Ding! Touch the chest of the goddess Xiao Xun'er to get a chance to sign in. Ning Luo looked at Xiao Xun'er. This 15-year-old girl has grown so well. It seems to be slightly bigger than Nolan Yanran's. You. Xiao Xun'er immediately hugged her chest and looked at Ning Luo with endless anger on her face. How dare you! I will kill you. Xiao Xun'er had never been touched by a man like this since she was a child, and no man had approached her except for her father. When he was young, Xiao Yan wanted to enter his own room. Elder Ling was all driven out directly. But now, this Ning Luo hugged himself again and through his chest. Where did she suffer such humiliation? Ning Luo was the first man to do this to his own. Xiao Xun'er was ashamed and angry. At this moment, she just wanted to kill the man in front of her. The long sword pierced the sky, and Xiao Xun'er brought a sharp vigor. Like lightning, her bare hand shook lightly, and the blue long sword in her hand suddenly turned back and pierced towards Ning Luo. Ning Luo didn't panic, easily avoided. She pounced on Ning Luo again and kicked towards Ning Luo. I saw that Ning Luo didn't dodge or dodge. Gently lifted his hand. He held Xiao Xun'er's slender feet in an instant. Ding, hold the jade feet of the goddess Xiao Xun'er and get a chance to sign in. You. Xiao Xun'er was furious. Ning Luo smiled lightly, then let go of Xiao Xun'er. At this moment, Xiao Xun'er pointed his sword at Ning Luo. She understands. He was not Ning Luo's opponent at all. She looked at Ning Luo and snorted coldly. Next time, I will defeat you. Then, she turned around to leave. At this time, Ning Luo immediately said, wait a minute. Xiao Xun'er stopped. Ning Luo asked indifferently, why are you attacking me suddenly? Smelly hooligan. After Xiao Xun'er finished speaking, she turned and left. Ning Luo was a little confused, looked at Xiao Xun'er's back, and shook his head. Although he was attacked by Xiao Xun'er, he didn't seem to have suffered any losses. Instead, he was given 3 chances to sign in. Today, he is more and more certain of the own system. As long as you contact or interact with the goddess judged by the system, you can sign in. Now there are 2 goddesses judged by the system for Ning Luo. One is Nolan Yanran, The other is Xun'er. It seems that in the future, he will have to unlock some new poses with them and get a few more sign-in opportunities so that he can become stronger as soon as possible. Yan Ran, let's go back to Yunlanzong. Ning Luo said with a smile, and then stretched out his hand. Aha! Nolan Yanran immediately shook Ning Luo's hand. Follow Jie Yi to Yunlanzong. Xiao family. In a courtyard. At this time, Xun'er sat at the stone table in a daze. At this moment, for some reason, the figure of Ning Luo was all in her mind. Old Ling slowly walked to Xun'er's side and looked at Miss in a daze. Hey, it seems Miss has reached that age too. Ling Lao exclaimed. He remembered that Miss noticed him when Ning Luo entered the Xiao family, and was very interested in him. Later, Miss secretly saw Ning Luo helping Nolan Yanran to divorce. I am also very affirmed of Ning Luo's view of freedom of love, so I am also very interested in Ning Luo. So I went to test Ning Luo. However, this kid Ning Luo is indeed much better than Xiao Yan, the pervert. Old Ling still remembers that when Miss was young, Xiao Yan wanted to enter Miss's room many times. However, it was all stopped by him. Xiao Yan didn't learn well at a young age, and looked like a pervert, so Ling never let Miss and Xiao Yan have a relationship. Old Ling looked at Miss, who was thinking of spring, interrupted her thoughts and asked, Miss, you tried that Ning Luo's skill, how about? Xun'er's thoughts were immediately interrupted by Ling Lao. She was taken aback for a moment. Hurriedly asked, Old Ling, what did you say? The old man is asking, what does Miss think of Ning Luo's skill? HMPH, that stinky rascal, how handsome is he, how good is his skill, this Miss will surpass him one day. Xun'er said immediately. Miss lost? Ling Lao asked. Xun'er nodded. Miss, do you want to get old? Ling Lao said, doing a wipe of his neck. Xun'er was shocked immediately, and hurriedly said, No, no, Old Ling, don't. Old Ling, don't make any move, I will defeat him personally. Old Ling smiled, shook his head, and left. Ning Luo followed Jie Yi and Nolan Yanran to Yunlanzong. Along the way, I saw Nolan Yanran sticking to Ning Luo, holding Ning Luo's hand, muttering, and shouting Ning Luo big brother along the way. At this time, Ning Luo probably understood everything. Although he has no memory, he probably figured out his own life experience. He is an orphan. When he was young, he was picked up by Yunyan to Yunlanzong. From then on, Ning Luo became Yunyan's first disciple, and later, Yunyan accepted Nolan Yanran as his disciple. Therefore, Ning Luo and Nolan Yanran became senior brothers and sisters. Moreover, Nolan Yanran admired brother own since she was a child. Later, when Nolan Yanran learned that she had a marriage contract with Xiao Yan, she was extremely shocked. She likes Ning Luo. He didn't want to marry Xiao Yan. Even if Xiao Yan is not a waste, even if Xiao Yan is a genius, only her Ning Luo big brother is in her heart. She doesn't like anyone except Ning Luo big brother. Therefore, Nolan Yanran came to divorce. Then, Ning Luo followed Nolan Yanran to divorce, and then, Ning Luo of modern society crossed over and entered Ning Luo's body. Moreover, Ning Luo also discovered that this Ning Luo not only has the same name as himself, but also looks exactly the same. Even the hemorrhoids on the hands are the same. Ning Luo was extremely surprised. For a moment, he didn't know whether he was wearing a human or a soul. But think about it carefully, I should be the soul that has crossed over. This world originally had this Ning Luo. It was as if he had exchanged souls with Ning Luo in this world. Perhaps he came to this world. Ning Luo in this world may have gone to the modern world and inherited his own body. However, Ning Luo didn't think much. Although there is no mobile phone, no wife, and no video games, there is grudge here. One can cultivate vindictiveness and become a strong one. More importantly, there are many, many beauties in this world. I also opened a plugin. If you are like Xiao Yan, there are many confidants to accompany you. Playing own confidant, isn't it more exciting than playing a mobile phone and playing games? Thinking of this, Ning Luo couldn't help but yearn for the future. However, this has to be built on his strong foundation. Only if he is strong enough can all this be possible. Therefore, Ning Luo has made up his mind, he wants to become stronger. Nolan Yanran held Ning Luo's hand, and the developed mountain was stuck on Ning Luo's hand, and Ning Luo suddenly felt a little soft. This feeling is really good. Ning Luo remembered at this time, he still had 3 chances to sign in and it was useless. Although he is on his way now, it does not affect his sign in. Sign in. Ning Luo signed in directly. Ding, congratulations to the host for signing in successfully, and getting the heavenly fighting skills is within reach. Cultivation is small, you can infinitely ascension own speed, make own movement technique extremely fast. Cultivation, you can shrink to an inch, step thousands of miles, cultivate to the extreme, you can break the barriers of time and space, and you can reach anywhere in one step. As soon as this remark came out, Ning Luo's heart was extremely shocked. It's too heaven-defying. Transformation, 1 step 1,000 miles. With this fighting skill, I'm afraid that in the world, it will be difficult for anyone to catch up to him. This also gave him one more means. Ding, congratulations to the host for signing in successfully, and obtaining the heaven-level cultivation technique Heavenly Drive Royal Beast Jew. Heaven drives you Beast Jew, after cultivation, has absolute suppression power on magical beasts. After releasing the breath, the host is the absolute king among magical beasts, and can suppress any magical beasts. Cultivation Mahayana, and the host can control magical beasts. Let magical beasts work for yourself. Saw this plugin. Ning Luo was even more surprised. You know, magical beasts is also a very powerful presence in the world of Fighting Spirit Continent. In the world of Dookie Continent, there are magical beasts of ranks 1 to 9, and heavenly demon beasts like the Xian Dragon Clan. If Ning Luo can call it casually, then Ning Luo's power will be even stronger. Ding, congratulations to the host for signing in successfully and obtaining the heaven-level cultivation technique Yuhuo Ju. Yuhuo Ju, after cultivation, can control any flame, unlimited number, and flame fusion. At this time, Ning Luo was even more surprised. Can control any flame. In other words, he can control the different fire. In this case, wouldn't it be about the same as Xiao Yan's Fenju? Moreover, what is more heaven-defying is that Xiao Chen's royal fire is not like Xiao Yan's Fenju. Xiao Yan's Fenju needed to constantly look for different fires, and then merge the different fires to upgrade. However, Xiao Chen's Yuhuo Ju did not require any upgrades, it was directly a heavenly cultivation technique. Although it could not be said to be stronger than Fenju, it was more comprehensive than Fenju. At this time, Nolan Yanran held Ning Luo's hand. Ning Luo big brother, why don't you speak anymore? Ning Luo had been immersed in On's inner world just now, so he hadn't noticed the outside world. At this time, Ning Luo immediately reacted. Jie Yi walked ahead. Nolan Yanran and Ning Luo walked behind. No. Nothing. Ning Luo explained immediately. Ning Luo big brother is so absorbed, is it thinking of something bad? Nolan Yanran looked at Ning Luo and asked. How is it possible? I am a decent gentleman, what would I think? Ning Luo said immediately. At this time, I saw Nolan Yanran gently leaning against Ning Luo's ear and gently said, Ning Luo big brother, come to my room again tonight. This statement came out. Ning Luo was extremely shocked. Could it be that she and Nolan Yanran already? After Nolan Yanran finished speaking, she kissed Ning Luo's cheek gently. Ding, congratulations on being the goddess Nolan Yanran and getting a chance to sign in. From a distance, a big mountain appeared within Ning Luo's field of vision. Not only was the peak towering, it also looked extremely steep. Looking around, almost 3 sides of the entire mountain stand upright, like a knife. Only one side is relatively flat, but it is also relative to the other 3 sides. It is really difficult for ordinary people to climb. Only the side where the mountain is relatively flat is where some vegetation grows. The surrounding mountains of this steep peak are undulating, but even the highest among the mountains is only on the mountainside. The sea of clouds is misty, floating slowly on these mountains, and that steep mountain is only exposed under the sea of clouds, and above the sea of clouds can only be seen through the clouds. It will be the top of the mountain, overlooking the mountains and small mountains. Ning Luo just felt open-minded and very comfortable. The clouds rolled and the surrounding clouds drifted and spread. Ning Luo's eyes stared at the turbulent sea of clouds unconsciously, and Han Hai was boundless. Is this the Yunlan Zong? Ning Luo was a little surprised. This Yunlan sect towers high into the clouds, it is indeed like a fairy mountain. At this time, Jie Yi brought Ning Luo and Nolan Yanran down, and Yi Chen also fell on this Yunlan Zong. At this time, everyone saw Ning Luo and immediately saluted, "Hello brother Ning." Ning Luo was a little shocked. These disciples are calling themselves brothers. Ning Luo heard Nolan Yanran say that he was Yunyan's first apprentice, and it was Yunyan who picked up himself back. Therefore, even if Ning Luo is young, he is still a senior of many people. Ning Luo nodded quickly in return. At this time, Jie Yi smiled and said, "Well, you can go to see sect leader." Yeah, Ning Luo nodded. Nolan Yanran immediately took Ning Luo's hand and walked towards the sect leader Great Hall of Yunlanzong. Along the way, Ning Luo looked at the Yunlanzong, towering into the clouds, very beautiful, like a fairyland on earth. Stepped into the Great Hall. "Master, we are back," Nolan Yanran shouted immediately. As soon as Ning Luo looked up, he saw a fairy standing in front of Own. I saw the woman in a plain skirt wrapped in a plump body, and her blue silk was turned into a noble phoenix hair accessory. Her beautiful and charming face was calm and tranquil, but she showed a touch of grace and nobility that could not be concealed by plain clothes. The woman's white dress, the 3,000 green silks that were jet black as ink dangled like a waterfall, hanging down to the slender waist, that stunning face, like a fairy in the mountains that does not ask mundane affairs. Filled with a moving ethereal color, his eyes flowed, and what he had in his eyes was just the kind of light that penetrates the bone marrow, and there was no slightest bit of eagerness to compete. Such women can only be described in 4 characters. Feng Hua is peerless. Is she Yun? Now, still Own Master. Own Master. Why is it so good looking? Ding, the Goddess Union is detected. Interact with the Goddess Union, you can get the opportunity to sign in. At this moment, Ning Luo's system suddenly sounded. Ning Luo was shocked suddenly. Is Yun also included in the goddess judged by the system? So, don't you want to attack Own Master? Master and apprentice. Is it so exciting? Ning Luo suddenly looked at Yun in shock. Xiao Luo, why, I have been staring at being a teacher, and if I haven't seen him for a few days, I don't recognize him as a teacher. Yun looked at Ning Luo and asked. The disciple has seen the master. Ning Luo immediately saluted. At this moment, Yun nodded. What was the result of your trip to Xiao's house? Yun looked at Ning Luo and Nolan Yanran and asked. At this time, Nolan Yanran immediately said, thanks to Ning Luo big brother, we can successfully divorce. Yun nodded and said, since you have retired, from today onwards, don't think about these mundane things and concentrate on practicing. Ning Luo looked at Yun, the master of Own, too serious. However, I am afraid that it is a little difficult to guide Master Yun. After all, it is a master and apprentice. I am afraid that it is difficult to overcome ethically. Yun is not like Nolan Yanran, she can hold hands and touch her legs at any time. Own Master, if you do this yourself, let alone touch your legs, I'm afraid that your own legs will be interrupted by the master. Therefore, even if Master Yun is one of the goddesses, Ning Luo can't be impatient. Raiders slowly. However, Ning Luo didn't feel any guilt. He came through the soul, and he has no previous memory. Although Yun is Own Master, it is only in name. In Ning Luo's heart, he does regard her as one of the goddesses he needs to attack. Yes, Master, Nolan Yanran answered quickly. Well, you go back and rest first. Ning Luo, you come to me tomorrow morning. Yun said. Yes. Ning Luo and Nolan Yanran hurriedly saluted, and then exited the Great Hall. Out of the Great Hall, Ning Luo had a very difficult problem. That is, he doesn't know where he lives. He has no memory of this Ning Luo at all, so he looks dazed in everything here. Came out. At this time, Ning Luo suddenly had an idea. Looking at Nolan Yanran and said, Yanran, how about? Go to my place and sit down first. Your residence. Nolan Yanran blushed immediately. A boy invites a girl to his residence, it must be no good. Ning Luo big brother, really, are you going? Nolan Yanran flushed, looking at Ning Luo and asked. We are brothers and sisters, it's nothing, let's go. Ning Luo smiled. Okay. Nolan Yanran blushed and nodded. At this time, Nolan Yanran walked in front, and Ning Luo followed behind Nolan Yanran's buttocks, and found Ning Luo's own residence. Ning Luo slowly walked into the own room. I saw that the room was elegant and clean, with several ink paintings hung. The room was very simple and made people look very comfortable. It seems that the former Ning Luo is still a very emotional person. Entering the room, Nolan Yanran was a little restless. Ning Luo smiled. Yanran, sit down. Do. Nolan Yanran looked at Ning Luo in surprise. Do. Suddenly, Nolan Yanran's face turned red. She looked at Ning Luo in shock and said, Ning Luo big brother, now. Now. Ning Luo looked at Nolan Yanran somewhat puzzledly and said, yes, sit down. Now, will it be a little too early? Nolan Yanran said hastily. Is it early? Ning Luo looked at Nolan Yanran. At this time, Nolan Yanran blushed and looked at Ning Luo. She slowly stretched out On's slender hand, and then gently unfastened On's belt. Pulled gently. The gorgeous robe on Nolan Yanran's body instantly dispersed. At this moment, the light-colored Luo skirt is dazzlingly inlaid with silver silk borders, and the water fuchsia gauze is tied around the man's waist. He wore a violet-colored painted hibiscus dress with the waist and sleeves. With a slight smile, a pair of youthful and ignorant spiritual beads, glowing as smooth as pearls, with clear eyes like a stream under ice, not staining a trace of world dust, and long and thick eyelashes. At this moment, Ning Luo was shocked suddenly. Hurriedly asked, Yanran, what are you doing undressing? Nolan Yanran blushed and looked at Ning Luo and said, Ning Luo big brother, didn't you say to do it? This statement came out. Ning Luo was shocked. Ning Luo meant to let Nolan Yanran sit. Instead of asking Nolan Yanran to do it. What is this little girl thinking in her head? Ning Luo quickly said, Yanran, I'm asking you to sit down. Nolan Yanran's face was even redder at this moment. Nolan Yanran at this moment was like a red apple. HMPH, Ning Luo big brother bullied me, I ignored Ning Luo big brother. Nolan Yanran fastened her belt and escaped from Ning Luo's room. Ning Luo shook his head and sighed, this little Nizi. Then Ning Luo began to cultivate these signed cultivation techniques in his own room. Ning Luo signed a total of 3 cultivation techniques. One is called Tian Yan Ju. Through Tian Yan Ju, you can evolve suitable own fighting skills. The other one is called Tianqi Yujuju, which can control and command magical beasts. There is also a book called Yu Huo Ju, similar to Xiao Yan's Fen Ju, which can control the flames. He also signed a movement technique called Ziqi Tianya, cultivation Dacheng, which can span a distance of tens of thousands of miles in a single thought. Although Ning Luo learned all these cultivation technique fighting skills when he signed in, he was only a beginner, and he needed to continue learning if he wanted a deeper grasp. Ning Luo didn't think much, then closed his eyes and began to cultivate. He came to the world of Duki continent. In this world, he must live a good life, that is to say, he must become stronger, otherwise, I am sorry for his plug-in. Ning Luo was kissed by Nolan Yanran before. In other words, he still has another chance to sign in. So he did not hesitate to sign in. Sign in. Ding! Congratulations to the host for signing in successfully and gaining the Eye of True Vision. The Eye of True Seeing, you can see the essence through the phenomenon, you can see the shattering void, and see the truth. Eye of True Seeing has been bound. At this time, Ning Luo opened his eyes, and his eyes lit up instantly. In an instant, he felt that the whole world became clear. It seems that things that were not seen before can be seen now. He instantly saw that there was a strong gas floating around him, and these gas seemed to be vindictive. It's just that Ning Luo didn't have the Eye of True Vision before, so he couldn't see the existence of Do Qi, but now that Ning Luo signed the Eye of True Vision, he could see shattering void at a glance and saw the essence of Do Qi. Ning Luo was very satisfied. Ning Luo drove for a few days and was a little tired. Then, he lay on the bed and began to rest. Slowly, he gradually fell asleep. The night is lonely. Ning Luo fell asleep in a daze. At this moment, he suddenly heard the sound of a bewildering sound in his dreamland. Sleep with the goddess Nolan Yanran in the same bed and get a chance to sign in. Physical contact with the goddess Nolan Yanran, and got a chance to sign in. Ning Luo woke up instantly. At this moment, Ning Luo looked at On's side in astonishment. A beautiful little face is in front of On's eyes. I saw the smart eyes, looking at me. At this moment, Ning Luo was extremely shocked. This, junior sister Yanran, is this a night attack? At this moment, the two looked at each other. I saw Nolan Yanran looking at Ning Luo affectionately in her eyes like water. Yanran, why are you in my room? Ha, Brother, have you forgotten? I asked you to come to my room at night during the day, but you never came, so I came to you. Ning Luo was a little shocked, as if Nolan Yanran had really said something like this during the day. Nolan Yanran looked at Ning Luo and smiled. Then, when I saw brother you were asleep, I couldn't bear to disturb you. I was also sleepy, so I lay down next to you. Then what are you coming to do with me? Ning Luo asked quickly. At this time, Nolan Yanran quickly said, Brother, have you forgotten? Before, every day, night, it was you, helping me raise meridians, so I came to you to help me raise meridians. Nolan Yanran was red, said the face. Warm up meridians. Ning Luo was a little shocked. It turned out that the former Ning Luo gave Nolan a sweet and warm-hearted meridians every day, no wonder she would like herself. I saw Nolan Yanran sitting in front of Ning Luo. Ning Luo big brother, help me raise meridians. Nolan Yanran asked, looking back at Ning Luo. Ning Luo looked at Nolan Yanran. This is a good opportunity. As the saying goes, fat and water do not flow into outsiders' fields, and this tofu delivered to your door is not eaten for nothing. Although Ning Luo is not a despicable villain, he is not a gentleman, a man, lust is by nature, and he can also unlock various new actions with his junior and sisters, so that he can get various sign-in opportunities, so why not do it? What about it? I saw Ning Luo slowly put his hand on Nolan Yanran's back. Ding, touch Nolan Yanran's back and get a chance to sign in. Ning Luo continuously injected the vindictiveness from his body into Nolan Yanran's body. Nolan Yanran suddenly let out a comfortable cry. The two tossed all night. Ning Luo also felt a little tired, and the two fell down and fell asleep deeply. The next day, it just dawned. Ding, contact the goddess Nolan Yanran and get a chance to sign in. In his sleep, Ning Luo suddenly heard the sound of the system's machinery. At this time, he felt a little softness in own hands. Could it be? Ning Luo opened his eyes and saw that his own hand was placed on top of Nolan Yanran's tenderness. At this moment, Ning Luo was extremely surprised. At this time, Nolan Yanran also opened her eyes. Suddenly, I saw own Ning Luo big brother is. Suddenly, her face flushed. Ning Luo big brother. You. Ning Luo immediately let go of his own hand. Nolan Yanran blushed, got up quickly, and fled. Ning Luo looked at the little girl Nolan Yanran, who was so active when he was raising the meridians, and now he blushed when he touched it. However, Ning Luo didn't think much. Are they brothers and sisters? Such a thing is normal. Ning Luo got up. At this time, he remembered that Master Yunlan asked himself to find her yesterday. Ning Luo stretched, yawned, then get dressed, ready to meet own Master, Yunlan. Came to Master's residence. Ning Luo knocked gently on the door. Who? In the house, Master Yunlan's cold voice suddenly came. Master, it's me, Ning Luo. Come in. Ning Luo slowly opened the door. At this time, I saw Yunlan's white skirt fluttering with the wind, her clothes rising and falling. The ethereal eyes are so quiet, the cold outline reveals a puff of dust, and the corners of the mouth seem to be smiling, smiling at all beings. The clothes are like snow, black like ink, and the body is long and jade, smooth and gorgeous. The slightly upward face is exquisitely cut, and the calm and gentle black eyes overflowing with unwavering indifference, but as unpredictable as the deep sea. Dressed in white, he looks handsome. The star pupils reflected the cold air comparable to the top of an iceberg, and the whole body was filled with a sense of indifference that turned away from others and thousands of miles away. Ink hair pouring down like clouds, scattered around the waist, with an elegant temperament and dust, like the banished immortal above the palace of 9 heavens. Yunlan sat calmly in front of the table. Ning Luo slowly came to Yunlan's face, bowed and said, I have seen the master. Xiao Luo, sit down. Ning Luo sat down slowly. I wonder why master is looking for me. Ning Luo asked immediately. I taught you the green wood sword art. I don't know how you learned it. Yunlan asked softly. Aoki's sword art. Ning Luo remembered that Jie Yi used the Qingmu Jianju before, and the Qingmu Jianju should be their Yunlanzong's mysterious fighting skill. However, it was the former Ning Luo who had learned the Qingmu sword art. Where did you learn it? I haven't learned it yet. At this time, Ning Luo could only tell the truth. He had never seen the Qingmu Jianju, how could he have learned it? Yunlan frowned slightly and looked at Ning Luo and said, Hey, Xiao Luo, although this green wood sword art is difficult, but you have to learn it with your heart. I will teach you 3 times. No matter, you follow me to the back mountain. Come, I will teach you again. Thank you, master. Ning Luo followed Yunlan. There are few green smoke and clouds. On the top of the cliff, Yunlan seemed to be a hazy figure, flowing with shining light, revealing a sense of coldness and detachment. The white clothes fluttered, floating like an immortal. She seems like a fairy who does not eat the fireworks in the world, and a trace of vindictiveness follows her rhythm. Came to the back mountain. Yunlan handed a sword to Ning Luo. Xiao Luo, you can show the teacher the demonstration you have learned before. Yunlan said. Demonstration. Ning Luo was shocked. I haven't learned it myself, how can I demonstrate it? He has only learned 2 cultivation techniques, and the only fighting technique is called Zichi Tianya. Then know how to demonstrate the Aoki sword art. At this time, Ning Luo could only break the jar. I saw Ning Luo holding a sword and arbitrarily demonstrated a few tricks. Sword technique did whatever he wanted, no rules. It can be said that this is not a sword technique at all. At this time, Yunlan looked at Ning Luo and shook her head. Stop. Yunlan stopped Ning Luo directly. Ning Luo looked at Own Master. I saw Yunlan slowly walked behind Own, and her body was behind Own. Xiao Luo, this trick is like this. Yunlan said with a smile. Yunlan is turbulent. Ning Luo's heart was also surging. Yunlan stuck to Ning Luo and taught Ning Luo to demonstrate. Ding, contact the goddess Yunlan and get a chance to sign in. At this moment, I saw Yunlan post on Ning Luo's body. Teach Ning Luo to demonstrate sword technique. Ning Luo felt the softness on his back while demonstrating the sword technique. At this moment, Ning Luo's cultivation technique Tian Yanju was constantly recording the fighting skills he practiced. Tian Yanju can evolve a variety of fighting skills, so now, Tian Yanju is constantly practicing fighting skills, and he has written Union Master to own fighting skills in Ning Luo's heart. A set of sword technique was demonstrated. Ning Luo was very satisfied. After the rehearsal, Yunlan looked at Ning Luo and said, how is it, do you remember? Ning Luo nodded. Remember, master. Yunlan looked at Ning Luo, stood there again, and said faintly, well, you can practice it yourself. I saw Ning Luo running Tian Yanju immediately, and then kept thinking about the sword moves that the master had handed over to Own. In an instant, I saw him calmly and freely, moving at will. With a light wave of the long sword in his hand, sword chi showed his sharp edge. At this moment, Yunlan was horrified in her heart. Before this kid Ning Luo was not able to practice this green wood sword art. Why now, a short piece of cultivation technique. Ning Luo's green wood sword art was so proficient. At this moment, Ning Luo couldn't help raising the sword in his hand, every move was very mysterious. In an instant, he moved, a sword beckoned, it seemed extremely fast, and it seemed extremely slow, but the whole sword technique was completely natural, and there was no flaw in it. As the sword moves faster and faster, his whole person is like a sword, constantly moving back and forth in the field, the sword shadow flashes, and the sword chi shoots in all directions. The power is more than several times greater than before. Aoki sword art. With Ning Luo's scream, suddenly, a sword chi overflowed all over and hit a huge boulder. Boom! There was a loud noise. I saw the boulder burst into pieces. This moment, Yunyan's eyes were full of surprise. She couldn't believe it. Is this really your own disciple? How is he different from before? Master, is that right? Ning Luo asked as she looked at Yunyan. Yunyan nodded quickly and said, yes, this sword technique, that's it. Only, but what? Ning Luo asked. Xiao Luo, you didn't know the azure wood sword art just now. Why did you become so proficient after I handed it in? Yunyan asked her own question. At this time, Ning Luo smiled. Isn't this master, did you teach well? As Ning Luo spoke, his eyes moved down, and he saw Master Yunyan's huge peaks. I have to say, Master, this is much bigger than junior sisters. At this time, Yunyan suddenly remembered that when she called Ning Luo to practice sword before, she was next to Ning Luo. Suddenly, Yunyan's face was slightly red. Practice your sword well, don't mess around. Yunyan said coldly. Yes, Master. Ning Luo quickly responded. After Ning Luo practiced the sword, At this time, Yunlan looked at Ning Luo and asked, Xiao Luo, are you not interested in the pharmacist sense? Alchemist. Ning Luo knows what it means to be a pharmacist in the world of fighting against the sky. Apothecary, as the name suggests, they can refine all kinds of Ascension's magical medicine pill. Any pharmacist will be attracted by all forces at all costs, and his status is extremely prominent. Of course Ning Luo wanted to become a pharmacist. Moreover, he also signed to cultivation technique Yuhuo Ju. For his alchemy technique, it is even more like a fire sky wing. Of course I'm interested, Ning Luo said immediately. At this time, Yunlan looked at Ning Luo and nodded, and then said, well, Xiao Luo, I will take you to meet someone. See someone. Is it to see a pharmacist? Ning Luo followed Yunlan and walked towards a place. At this time, they came to a great hall. I saw Yunlan walked in with Ning Luo. In the great hall, I saw a middle-aged man who was working. Seeing Yunlan approaching, the middle-aged man immediately got up and said, it turns out to be Yunlan's sect leader. Hurry up, please come inside. Yunlan glanced at Ning Luo, and hurriedly shouted, Xiao Luo, come and see Elder Furukawa. Ning Luo looked at the middle-aged man. The man looked like he was in his 30s, he was upright middle-aged, and he had a powerful force in him. Is this the King Dan Guhei? Ning Luo thought. Furukawa was not known as King Pill back then, he was the 6th-rank alchemist of the Jama Empire. Although his alchemy skills were much worse than that of Yao Lao, he was considered a character in the Canaan Empire. N.S. Now that the master brought himself to see the Pill King Furukawa, it seemed that he wanted to teach himself medicine alchemy. In fact, Ning Luo also wanted to become a pharmacist very much. Because you want to be strong, how can you not take drugs? But if he buys medicine pill, he can't bear the price, so being a pharmacist can make money and take drugs indefinitely. Why not? Ning Luo came to Furukawa and bowed slightly. Ning Luo has seen Ancient Elder. Your name is Ning Luo. Furukawa looked at Ning Luo arrogantly and asked. Yes, Ning Luo replied. You have to know that not everyone can become a pharmacist. To become a pharmacist, one must have good talent. Furukawa looked at Ning Luo extremely arrogantly. You release your anger, let me see if your talent is suitable for the profession of pharmacist. Furukawa continued. Ning Luo calmly released a grudge. On the continent of Duki, there is a profession that surpasses those who are fighting. People call them pharmacists. Apothecary, as the name suggests, they can refine all kinds of Ascension's magical medicine pill. Any pharmacist will be attracted by all forces at all costs, and his status is extremely prominent. The ability of a pharmacist to have this kind of treatment is naturally related to its scarcity and practicality. If you want to become a pharmacist, the conditions are extremely harsh. First of all, it must be fire, and secondly, there must be a trace of wood qi in the fire body for the effect of refining catalysis. You know, the attributes of the human body in the Duki continent depend on their soul. A soul will always have only one attribute, and there can be no other attributes. Therefore, a body has two attributes with different strengths and weaknesses. Up is impossible. Of course, there are no absolutes. Among hundreds of millions of people, there will always be some upgraded souls, and those with upgraded souls have the potential to become a pharmacist. However, a soul with a firewood attribute alone cannot be called a true pharmacist, because another necessary condition for a pharmacist is also indispensable, that is, the perception of the soul. Also known as soul-shaping power. Refining medicine pill, the three most important conditions: material, fire, and soul perception. The materials are naturally all kinds of heavenly and mortal treasures. After all, pharmacists are not gods. Without the best materials, they are also clever women who cannot cook without rice. Therefore, good materials are very important. Fire is the flame required for refining medicine. It is impossible to use ordinary fire to refine medicine pill. Instead, it is necessary to use fighting gas flames catalyzed by the fire attribute fighting gas. Of course, the world is full of different fires, some powerful the pharmacist will also take it and use it. Using these different fires to refining medicine will not only have a much higher success rate. Moreover, the medicine pill that is refined is stronger and stronger than the medicine pill that is refined by ordinary grudge flames. Since refining medicine is a long time, and long time refining, it is extremely vindictive. Therefore, every outstanding pharmacist is actually a powerful flame fighter. The last condition is soul perception. When refining medicine, the severity of the fire is among the most important. Sometimes as long as the fire is slightly focused, the entire medicine pill will be turned into ashes, leading to abandonment of all previous efforts. Therefore, the alchemist must learn to control the fire. However, if you want to control the heat well, you must have a strong soul perception. If you lose this point, even if you do the first 2 points well, it will be useless. Under these harsh conditions, people who are qualified to become pharmacists are of course very rare. However, there are fewer pharmacists, and those magical medicine pills are naturally rare. It created the noble and even deformed identity of the alchemist. The corner of Furukawa's mouth smiled slightly. Then, he glanced at Yunlan. Furukawa was not so kind to teach his disciples for others, because Ning Luo was Yunlan's disciple, so he agreed to teach him. But Furukawa had a secret love for Yunlan in his heart. How can you teach the disciples for Yunlan without selling a favor? Therefore, no matter whether Ning Luo has the talent for refining medicine or not, he will embarrass Ning Luo so that Yunlan can beg of himself, and if he will be a good friend at the time, Yunlan will be grateful to herself. At that time, his relationship with Yunlan will be able to take it to the next level. I saw Ning Luo standing beside Yunlan. Slowly released his own grudge. At this time, Ning Luo's hand suddenly appeared a group of flame-like vindictiveness. Furukawa sat on the seat, like an expert, nodded and said, "Yes, there is fire attribute in your grudge. Let me see, do you have wood attributes?" Ning Luo immediately changed the grudge in his hand. Suddenly, his grudge turned green, and a trace of wood attributes appeared in Ning Luo's hand. At this time, Furukawa pretended to be an expert outside the world, nodded and said, "Yes, it has fire attributes and wood attributes, and it has the most basic requirements to become a pharmacist." Just as Furukawa said, I saw that the grudge in Ning Luo's hand changed again. Then, water properties, wind attribute, thunder attribute, soil attribute. Various attributes appeared in Ning Luo's hands. At this moment, Yunlan was suddenly shocked. She taught Ning Luo for so many years, she didn't know that Ning Luo's grudge contained so many attributes. The attribute of vindictiveness determines the cultivation technique that Ning Luo can cultivate, only the fire attribute, so it can only cultivate the fire attribute cultivation technique. Before Ning Luo was detected to have fire attributes and wood attributes, Yunlan would bring him here and let Furukawa teach him. But, when did this kid awaken all his attributes? At this moment, Furukawa's face was also extremely surprised. He looked at Ning Luo in astonishment. He didn't expect that this kid turned out to be a genius with all attributes. In this way, how to make Yunlan beg for herself, how to make Yunlan owe her favor. At this time, he thought for a while and said, "Come here and let me see how your soul perception is." Ning Luo too was a man. He knew that his soul perception should be very powerful. Then, he walked forward slowly. I saw Furukawa squeezing Ning Luo's hand, testing Ning Luo's soul perception. Suddenly, he was extremely shocked. Furukawa's eyes were wide and round, his mouth was wide open, his brows wrinkled, and his hair trembled. His heart was extremely shocked. This kid's soul perception is so terrifying. This kid is a natural medicine genius. Furukawa said silently in shock. However, no matter how good a genius in refining medicine, he is also a disciple of Yunlan. In order to make Yunlan grateful for himself, he can do whatever it takes. He pretended to be calm, smiled and said, "Yun sect leader, although Ning Luo has 2 attributes of fire and wood, his soul perception is a bit poor." Heard this, Ning Luo frowned slightly. He has read the original work, and he remembers that Xiao Yan was a man from 2 generations, and Yao Lao commented that his soul perception is very strong. How come to yourself, you are very weak. It seems that this little child is embarrassing himself sincerely. But why should he embarrass himself? At this time, he looked up and saw that Furukawa's gaze was looking at Yunlan, his gaze was triumphant and wretched. He understood all this in an instant. It seems that Furukawa is an old critic, he is greedy for his own master. No, the master is judged by the system to own the goddess. How could it be cheaper for this old guy? At this time, Furukawa looked at Yunlan and smiled. Originally, Ning Luo's soul perception was not enough, but I can look at Yun sect leader's face and teach him about it. Pharmacist, it depends on his good fortune. Furukawa smiled and looked at Yunlan. In this case, Yunlan will beg for herself. Then owe yourself favors. I sell it to Yunlan for a favor. Everything is in his hands. Yunlan heard what Furukawa said. She immediately said, I also ask Elder to teach Ning Luo. If Elder can make Ning Luo a pharmacist, I am willing to agree to a reasonable request from Elder. There is no hesitation, Yunlan said directly. In her opinion, even she owes Furukawa a favor. Also let Ning Luo become a pharmacist. Because she knew from the bottom of her heart that even a strong fighting emperor like her needed the medicine pill of a pharmacist. So, if Ning Luo can become a pharmacist and owe Furukawa a favor, why not? Here. Ning Luo looked at Yunlan in surprise. I didn't expect the master to beg Furukawa directly so quickly. This also shows how good Yunlan is to him. The master actually begged Furukawa for himself. Seeing Yunlan begging for herself, the corner of Furukawa's mouth slowly raised. His plan was very successful. Since Yun sect leader said so, then I reluctantly let Ning Luo follow me to learn medicine alchemy, but whether he can become a medicine alchemist or not depends on him. Furukawa shook his head and said. Then there is Elder Laogu. Yunlan was about to cupped hands. Wait a moment. At this moment, Ning Luo's voice suddenly came out. This statement came out. I saw that both Furuhe and Yunlan looked at Ning Luo. I saw that Ning Luo was extremely calm, walked to the center of the great hall, and came to own Master Yunlan. Xiao Luo. Yunlan looked at Ning Luo, not knowing what he was going to do. Ning Luo looked at Yunlan and said, Master, let's go back. This old thing is not at ease. I know my own qualifications. This old thing is not qualified to teach me. This statement came out. Both Yunlan and Furukawa were shocked. When Furukawa heard these words, his face turned pale. He was furious in an instant and looked at Ning Luo and said, Boy, who are you scolding for? Ning Luo turned around and looked at Furukawa indifferently, Don't you know yourself? You. Furukawa was furious at once. Xiao Luo, don't be rude. At this time, Yunlan also said quickly. At this time, I saw Ning Luo looking at own master and seriously said, Master, you believe me, I know my own qualifications and I know my own strength. I can become a pharmacist by myself without any instruction. Seeing Ning Luo's firm eyes, Yunlan nodded. Of course, she believes in own disciples more than outsiders. At this time, Furukawa was furious and looked at Ning Luo with a sneer. Ha, boy, you are really arrogant. You don't need anyone to teach you to become a pharmacist. Do you think a pharmacist is a street vendor? Just pick it up. Ning Luo turned his head and looked at Furukawa and said, A pharmacist is indeed not a street vendor, but I obviously have a strong fire attribute and wood attribute, and I know that my own soul perception is long before becoming a pharmacist. It's more than enough. Do you really think I don't know anything, don't understand anything? I understand that you have a crush on my master, so you want to sell me the favor of the master. At that time, after I become a pharmacist, the master owes you even greater favor. As for teaching me, I am afraid that you will not be sincere. Teach. Quote. You, what nonsense are you talking about? Furukawa's thoughts were revealed, and his face flushed immediately. Anger rose from above the hair. Are you being so embarrassed by me that you have turned into anger? Ning Luo asked coldly. You. Furukawa was furious in an instant. He was shy and angry, and his mind was poked away by Ning Luo. He was extremely shy, and he was extremely angry. At this moment, he wanted to smash this kid into pieces. He sat in his seat and calmed down. Then, looking at Ning Luo with cold eyes, Ning Luo, you said that you can become a pharmacist by yourself. Do you think that a pharmacist can learn by yourself without a teacher? Do you know what pharmacology is? Can you distinguish the medicinal herbs? Can you control your flame? No teacher wants to become a pharmacist, I think you are whimsical. Quote. He calmed down. Ning Luo was just a hairy boy, and his anger was justified by him. He wanted to find his face personally. At this time, Ning Luo smiled and said, Gu Elder said that, should he understand pharmacology? Boy, do you think I picked up the title of King Pill? Furukawa sneered. Ning Luo was not afraid, looked at Furukawa and asked, Then, I would like to ask Elder Furukawa, how should the Tongtian pill be refined? Ning Luo has signed into the full solution to the secret of medicine pill. This medicine pill mystery is fully explained, but it records all medicine pills in the entire Do Qi continent. This Tongtian pill is the 9th rank medicine pill recorded in the secret code. Ning Luo didn't believe he could refine it. This statement came out. Furukawa looked at Ning Luo without surprise, a little unbelievable. This Tongtian pill is the 9th rank medicine pill. He is just a 6th rank pill king. How could he refine it? But what he couldn't believe was that Ning Luo actually knew the heavenly pill. However, he should have seen something like Tongtian pill, so he used this medicine pill to test himself. I saw a faint smile at the corner of Furukawa's mouth. Tongtian pill is the 9th rank medicine pill. I am only a 6th rank pharmacist, and I don't know how to refine it. Ning Luo looked at Furukawa and smiled. You don't know how to refine the pill of heaven, so why are you qualified to teach me? At this moment, Furukawa looked cold. Looking at Ning Luo, you mean, do you know how to refine this Tongtian pill? Ning Luo possesses the secret of medicine pill. Of course he knows. I saw him talking eloquently. Tongtian pill, a 9-grade medicine pill, requires light-transmitting Lingzi mushrooms, a 1,000-year-old ginseng king, which does not freeze ice, and the fragrance of Borneol plus the 9th grade wood magic core, condensed with different fire. At this moment, Furukawa looked at Ning Luo in astonishment. He was shocked. Unbelievable. This kind of 9-grade medicine pill, not everyone can get a pill recipe. How does this kid know how to refine this 9-rank Tongtian pill? At this moment, Yunlan's face also showed a look of surprise. She didn't expect Ning Luo to know so much. Did this kid get a good fortune? At this time, I saw Furukawa sneered. You just saw the pill recipe and wrote it down. What's the big deal? I have a pill recipe, and I can also write it down. Ning Luo looked at Furukawa without any fear. Then he said, well, Furukawa elder, since you are not convinced, you can test me with the pill recipe you remembered. If I answer all of them, please don't approach me master again. What if you can't answer? Furukawa looked at Ning Luo and asked. Ning Luo smiled and said, if I can't answer, I am willing to apologize to elder and let elder handle it. Okay, kid, so courageous. Furukawa sneered. I promise you. Furukawa sneered. At this moment, Yunlan immediately pulled Ning Luo. Xiao Luo, how can you compete with Gu elder? Yunlan frowned. She didn't want her apprentice to lose to Furukawa. Ning Luo looked at Yunlan and smiled. Don't worry, master, I'm sure. Seeing Ning Luo's determination, Yunlan nodded and chose to believe in Ning Luo. At this time, I saw a sneer at the corner of Furukawa's mouth. He didn't expect this Ning Luo to be so stupid, seeking a dead end. He's in trouble, and he's also a pill king. But Ning Luo is just a kid who hasn't even gotten started with a pharmacist. How could he lose? He has seen so many medicine pills in his life. He doesn't believe this kid, he knows what medicine pill can do. Okay, Ning Luo, let me ask you, how do you refine the profound fire pill? Ning Luo smiled and said, Xuanwo pill, the 6th rank medicine pill, the poisonous fairy gold plus the green leaf gall plus the lotus seed heart, using the 6th rank fire magic core, refined with flame. After Ning Luo answered, Furukawa was shocked. This kid even knew the profound fire pill. It seems that some side-by-side medicine pill must be used to test him. So, what about Ningbing pill? In Ning Luo's mind, the refining method of ice condensation pill emerged immediately. Ning Luo continued. Ningbing pill, the 6th rank medicine pill, is refined by using 1,000-year ice leaf grass, green gallbladder, dragon's root, and tier 6 water element magic core. This moment, Furukawa's heart is undoubtedly very surprised. He couldn't believe it. This Ning Luo even knew how to refine the ice pill. So, what about Xuanshui pill? Furukawa asked immediately, not wanting to lose. Ning Luo has remembered all the refining methods of medicine pill, so no matter what medicine pill, he can't be bothered. Xuanshui pill, 7-rank medicine pill, use. With Ning Luo's answer again and again correct, Furukawa's heart became more and more shocked. The mountain on his forehead was covered with cold sweat. His hands were shaking slightly. He couldn't believe it. A kid who is not even a pharmacist knows so much. So, what about Qingfang pill, Guyuan pill, and Ningyuan pill? I saw that no matter what medicine pill Furukawa said, Ning Luo was able to answer fluently. This moment, Furukawa slumped on the seat. He didn't expect that Ning Luo knew so much. At this moment, Yunlan opened her mouth wide, and her small mouth seemed to be stuffed with an egg. She was extremely surprised. She never knew that her disciple actually knew so much knowledge about refining medicine. In this case, Ning Luo actually does not need any teacher, and he can become a pharmacist by himself. Yunlan closed her mouth. She stood up and looked at Elder Furukawa and said lightly, "Elder Furukawa, I'm almost done. Are you satisfied with my disciple's knowledge of pill refining?" Furukawa Elder suddenly slumped on his seat, muttering, "I lost." Ning Luo faintly smiled and said, "I have accepted the transfer, and I also ask Elder to follow his own promise." "Master, let's go back." At this time, Yunlan smiled and looked at Jiyu Hidao. "Jiyu Elder, then we won't bother, let's say goodbye." Yunlan took Ning Luo out. Furukawa slumped on his seat and began to doubt life. Out the door. At this time, Yunlan looked at Ning Luo in surprise. "Xiao Luo, how did you know so much knowledge about refining medicine? And, you said you know that your own soul is very perceptive, and why?" Yunlan couldn't believe Ning Luo anymore. Ning Luo hurriedly said, "Master, I know I shouldn't lie to you. Actually, after I went down the mountain this time, I found a cave. I got a full explanation of medicine pill in the cave. I read the medicine well. Only after pill was fully solved did he understand so much." At this time, Yunlan looked at Ning Luo in surprise. It turned out that this kid Ning Luo really had a chance. No wonder this kid is so confident. At this time, Ning Luo looked at Yunlan and said, "Master, don't wrong yourself for me in the future." As soon as he said this, Yunlan looked at Ning Luo with surprise. Then Furukawa obviously didn't want to teach me, why should the master beg him and be wronged? Ning Luo continued. Yunlan looked at Ning Luo and hugged Ning Luo. Suddenly, it was surging, and the magnificent waves instantly stuck on Ning Luo's body. "Ding, hug the goddess Yunlan and get a chance to sign in." "Okay, master promises you," Yunlan said while holding Ning Luo. At this time, Yunlan posted a huge surge on Ning Luo's body. The softness instantly melted into Ning Luo's heart. Ning Luo raised his hands and held his own master. At this time, Yunyan's face was a little red. She looked at Ning Luo and said, "Boy, how long will you hold?" "I want to hold master forever, forever and ever," Ning Luo replied immediately. Yunlan broke away from Ning Luo's embrace. He knocked on Ning Luo's head with his hand. People are big and small. Ding, knocked on the head by the goddess Yunlan, got a chance to sign in. Ning Luo smiled. At this time, Yunlan took Ning Luo back to Yunlanzong. Ning Luo got 3 more chances to sign in. Ning Luo didn't save it and signed in directly. Ding, congratulations to the host for signing in successfully and obtaining the Earth-level fighting skill and sword art. Ding, congratulations to the host for signing in successfully and obtaining the Earth-level fighting skill Tianxuanluohue. Ding, congratulations to the host for signing in successfully and getting the fairy weapon, the heavenly sword. Suddenly, 2 fighting skills appeared in Ning Luo's mind. The fighting skills have been issued, do you want to learn? Learn. Ning Luo didn't hesitate to learn the battle skills of the ground level. Fighting skills have started to learn. Successful learning of fighting skills. The heavenly sword has been issued. With the sound of the sound, I saw a divine sword suddenly appeared in Ning Luo's hands. I saw the divine sword blooming with divine light. Is this the fairy sword Tiangguan? This should be better than Xiao Yan's profound weight ruler. After all, it was an immortal product, and it must be better than Xiao Yan's profound weight ruler. I saw Ning Luo put the divine sword into the ring. Ning Luo big brother. At this moment, Ning Luo heard a cry. Hear the sound. Ning Luo knew it was Nalan Yanren's little girl. What's the matter? Ning Luo opened the door. At this time, I saw Nalan Yanren standing at Ning Luo's door, looking at Ning Luo with some twist. Yanran, what's the matter? Brother, I heard from the master that you have learned the Azure Wood Sword art, can you accompany me to cultivate fighting skills? Nalan Yanren looked at Ning Luo and asked. Ning Luo smiled and said, you little girl, okay, brother, let me accompany you to cultivate. The 2 came to the drill field. Brother, practice against me. Nolan Yanran looked at Ning Luo and said. Ning Luo nodded. I saw him take out an ordinary sword from Naji. At this time, I saw Nolan Yanran killing Ning Luo immediately. Nolan yanked softly, and then stabbed at Ning Luo with a sword. Nolan Yanran is dressed in a blue turquoise shirt, a pleated skirt of green grass with scattered flowers and mist, and a light blue turquoise veil. Her shoulders are cut into a waist, and her muscles are as condensed. Fold the waist to take a micro step. She is on the light gauze, her eyes are full of spring water, and a hollow gold hairpin is inserted obliquely on her head, decorated with purple jade. The tassels are sprinkled on the blue silk. The fragrant jade is tender and more beautiful than the flower. Refers to cutting the roots of green onions, and the mouth is like Zudan, with a frown and a smile touching the heart and soul. Mei Han Chunshui face is like fat, white jasmine smoked soft gauze, white mopping plum water skirt, body is soft smoked, it is really a bit powdery, crispy and delicate. I saw the sword in her hand stab towards Ning Luo. Ning Luo smiled slightly. Under the eyes of true vision, her movements were very slow. Ning Luo flashed lightly, then hugged Nolan Yanran's slender waist. Ding, hold the goddess Nolan Yanran's waist and get a chance to sign in. At this time, I saw Nolan Yanran's long sword split horizontally and was lightly blocked by Ning Luo. Boom, there was a loud noise. I saw the two retreat. Ning Luo pierced out with a sword, and pierced Nolan Yanran with a sword. Nolan Yanran was shocked by Ning Luo's momentum, and she was immediately retreated a few steps. Ning Luo smiled lightly at the corner of his mouth and pointed out with a sword. The long sword fell on Nolan Yanran's chest. Brother, you are so strong, I lost. Nolan Yanran said immediately. Ning Luo retracted the long sword. At this time, Nolan Yanran immediately said, Brother, you teach me the Qingmu sword art again. Ning Luo nodded, just about to cover up for Nolan Yanran. At this time, Nolan Yanran immediately said, Brother, it's not like that, can you teach me hand in hand? Chapter 11. Brother, can you teach me how to practice sword? Nolan Yanran looked at Ning Luo and asked. Ning Luo was a little surprised. However, how could he bear to refuse when he looked at this Shui Lingling little junior girl? I saw Ning Luo coming behind Nolan Yanran. At this time, I saw Nolan Yanran leaning against Ning Luo suddenly. Suddenly, I saw Nolan Yanran leaning against Ning Luo's arms in an instant. Ning Luo suddenly felt the fragrant Nolan Yanran in On's arms. Ding, hug Nolan Yanran from behind and get a chance to sign in. Ning Luo's system sounded again. Ning Luo didn't expect to get the chance to sign in this way. In this way, should I unlock a new pose with Nolan Yanran? Nolan Yanran's white face has soft lines. The faint crescent eyebrows, quite a bit of inhumane pyrotechnics. Ning Luo embraced Nolan Yanran. At this time, Nolan Yanran's big charming eyes flickered, smart and long eyelashes. Pretty pink nose. The cherry little mouth is moisturized. One end of blue silk was smooth, and a few strands of hair fell in the ears. His waist is slender, his hands are as soft as boneless, his shoulders are slender, his legs are slender, and his posture is graceful. It is not vulgar, and reveals an extraordinary temperament in the delicate and beautiful. Ning Luo was already addicted to this fragrant Nolan Yanran. Brother, hold too tight, teach me, practice sword. Nolan Yanran's face blushed slightly. She knew that happiness was achieved by herself, so she would go to Ning Luo again and again. For beautiful women, Ning Luo will not refuse. He held Nolan Yanran and gently said in Nolan Yanran's ear, Junior sister, this trick is like this. Ning Luo hugged Nolan Yanran's thin waist. He took Nolan Yanran's hand and stabbed it out. Ding, teach Nolan Yanran to practice sword, get a chance to sign in. The two practiced a few moves. At this time, Nolan Yanran looked back at Ning Luo and asked softly, Brother, did you hide the sword in your pants? This statement came out. Ning Luo blushed suddenly. Nolan Yanran continued blushing and said, It's up to me. Ning Luo quickly let go of Nolan Yanran. At this time, Nolan Yanran turned her head, looking at Ning Luo with autumn eyes. I saw her on tiptoe. The kiss was on Ning Luo's mouth. At this moment, the two embraced and kissed each other. Ding, kiss Nolan Yanran and get a chance to sign in. Then, Nolan Yanran looked at Ning Luo and said, Ning Luo big brother, I gave you my first kiss, anyway, you will be responsible to me in the future. Ning Luo smiled and looked at this cute little girl. How could Nolan Yanran be so in the original book? Everything is just because the readers brought in Xiao Yan and stood on the opposite side of Nolan Yanran, that's why they felt. Isn't that cute, Nolan Yanran? Ning Luo touched Nolan Yanran's head and smiled. Don't worry. Hee. Nolan grinned suddenly, then blushed and ran away. Ning Luo returned to own residence. At this time, he was ready to start learning to refine medicine. For Ning Luo, becoming a pharmacist is also very important. Taking medicine becomes stronger, and he cannot afford to buy medicine. If he becomes a pharmacist, he can not only refine medicine pill for his own consumption, but also use it for auction. He signed into the pill refining secret book. It contains various pill recipes. Ning Luo looked at medicine pill and began to refine medicine pill. As Yunlan's disciple, Ning Luo is the core disciple of Yunlan, so it is very easy to get some herbs for pill refining. Ning Luo got the herbs. Then, prepare to start pill refining. From the very beginning, let's start with the most basic foundation building spiritual solution. Ning Luo started to congeal the fire according to the records in the Encyclopedia of Refining Medicines. I saw him running vindictive. Bang! Suddenly, a red flame appeared on Ning Luo's hand. Then, he perceives the flame with his soul. Begin to weigh medicine, control fire, condense pill, all in one go. Suddenly, I saw the green spirit liquid appeared in front of Ning Luo. Ning Luo was very surprised. He looked at the green spirit liquid in front of him and knew that his first refining medicine was very successful. It seems that refining medicine is not as difficult as imagined. At this time, Ning Luo refined some spiritual liquids. I practiced more than 10 times and failed once. It's okay. Then, Ning Luo put the foundation building spirit liquid in the wooden barrel, ready to take a good bath at night. Just then, Nolan Yanran, the little girl, knocked on Ning Luo's door again. I saw Ning Luo open the door. Nolan Yanran tilted her head and looked at Ning Luo's room. Brother, what are you doing? Why is there such a good smell of medicine in your room? Ning Luo immediately said, this is the foundation building spiritual liquid I just refined. I'm preparing to take a bath. At this time, Nolan Yanran walked into Ning Luo's room. I saw a large wooden barrel of green foundation building bath water. She suddenly became a little envious. She looked at Ning Luo pitifully and said, brother, so many foundation building spirits, you will definitely not be able to absorb it alone, or let's go clubbing together. At this time, I saw Nolan Yanran walking in on her own. She slowly came to the front of the barrel. Then, I saw her in front of Ning Luo. Slowly take off own clothes. Yanran, what are you doing? Ning Luo was shocked suddenly. Nolan Yanran turned her back to Ning Luo, slowly taking off her clothes, revealing her white back, and her slender thighs without any fat. Under her slender jade neck, there was a piece of crispy breasts like white jade, half covered, and her waist was tied, but it didn't even hold it. A pair of long, hydrated and well-proportioned legs are bare, and even the beautiful lotus feet are silently enchanting, sending out alluring invitations. This woman's attire is undoubtedly extremely gorgeous, but compared with her demeanor, this Yunye seems to be much inferior. Her big eyes are smiling and pretty and demon, the water covers the mist and the ground is rippling with intrigue, the corners of her small mouth are slightly raised, and the red lips are slightly open. She wants to attract people to Feng's. This is a woman who exudes seductiveness from the bones. She seems to seduce men all the time and affect men's nerves. I saw her gently entering the foundation building spiritual liquid in the Ning Luo barrel. Then, she faced Ning Luo and said, Ning Luo big brother, what? Are you embarrassed? When we were young, we all had fun together. Ning Luo swallowed saliva. If you retreat at this time, you are really inferior to the beasts. Ning Luo didn't say much, took off his clothes and jumped into the barrel. At this time, the two were in the barrel. Ning Luo suddenly heard Yan Ran's banging heartbeat. Ning Luo looked at Nolan Yanran. Now Nolan Yanran is no longer a Ma Pingchuan. In front of her white snow. It's already a small bag. It looks so beautiful and makes people want to kiss fangs. But Nolan Yanran was bold though. But at this moment, her face was also blushing. She lowered her head and soaked in the spiritual liquid of the foundation building. Ding, take a bath with Nolan Yanran and get a chance to sign in. At this time, I saw Nolan Yanran hiding in Ning Luo's arms. Ning Luo, big brother, you, don't look at me. Nolan Yanran said shyly. Although, I was bold when I first invited Ning Luo, but when Ning Luo really came, Nolan Yanran became shy. At this time, Ning Luo looked at Nolan Yanran, gently raised her chin, looked at her and said, Yan Ran, didn't you invite me in? Why, now you are shy again? Quote. Nolan Yanran raised her blushing face. Water-like eyes looked at Ning Luo. At this moment, I saw Ning Luo picking up Nolan Yanran's small face, and then kissed him. Kissed Nolan Yanran's mouth. Do not want, Nolan Yanran said immediately. But Ning Luo kissed Nolan Yanran very hard. Although Nolan Yanran said no, she was very honest with her little mouth. Her hands also began to embrace Ning Luo. Ding, hug Nolan Yanran and get a chance to sign in. Ning Luo was very excited. Before I knew it, I got several chances to sign in again. The two soaked in the wooden barrel. Ning Luo embraced Nolan Yanran. Yan Ran, if this foundation building spirit fluid is not absorbed, it will be wasted. Let's cultivate. Nolan Yanran blushed and nodded. The two embraced each other, and then began to operate their own cultivation technique. The vindictive energy gradually entered their bodies, and the medicinal properties of the foundation building spiritual liquid were gradually absorbed by Ning Luo and Nolan Yanran. The two have been cultivation. Knowing that it will dawn the next day. A pool of green spiritual water has turned white. Ning Luo and Nolan Yanran absorbed all the effects of the medicine into the body. At this time, Ning Luo's vindictiveness had already been ascension a lot. Before he was a 5-star fighter. At this moment, he felt that he had broken through again, and directly ascension reached 6 stars. Nolan Yanran was the same. Ascension had a lot of grudges. Now Nolan Yanran is already a 4-star fighter. At this time, the faces of both of them were a little blushing. After getting dressed, go to morning class with Yunlan. The two came to Yunlan's face. At this time, Yunlan looked at Ning Luo and Nolan Yanran, and saw that both of them were blushing and a little surprised. What did you do last night? Yunlan asked as she looked at Nolan Yanran and Ning Luo. No. Nothing, Nolan Yanran said quickly. Ning Luo also immediately said, last night the junior sister came to ask me some questions about spiritual practice. Yunlan nodded, and didn't blame them. Just looking at Ning Luo and Yunlan calmly. Xiao Luo, Yan Ran, Sect is preparing for an experience meeting. Tomorrow I am going to the magical beasts forest to experience, you two prepare, and tomorrow, let's go to the experience together. Experience meeting. Ning Luo looked at Yunlan, a little surprised. Ning Luo knew that actual combat was the best way to cultivate ascension cultivation base, but he didn't know the actual combat skills. Even if the cultivation base came up, facing some powerful enemies, it was very tricky. Therefore, this experience meeting is very necessary. Ning Luo has some expectations for tomorrow's magical beasts forest experience. The next day, Ning Luo brought Nolan Yanran to the square. At this time, all the disciples of Yunlanzong were on the square. When I saw Ning Luo and Nolan Yanran, all those disciples saluted them. Ning Luo and Nolan Yanran are both Yunyan's disciples. Moreover, they all know that their Union sect leader has received 2 disciples. As the core disciple, they are naturally very respected. I have seen senior brother Ning Luo. Ning Luo nodded slightly. Then came to the front of the team. At this time, when Ning Luo saw the stage, she saw Yunyan dressed in a white robe with Shuiyu shoulders on her shoulders. Inside, she wore a creamy white mixed pink satin skirt with rusty water patterns and unnamed patterns that were irregularly made of gold and silver-lined civet feathers. The slender waist was not enough for a full grip, showing an exquisite figure. The big colored glaze eyes gleamed like black shining stones, and the bright glaze disappeared in a moment when the eyes opened, and the vermilion of the cherry little mouth was not dotted and bright. A silver jade and purple moon hairpin was lightly pulled with her hair, which seemed to be overwhelming, and seemed to float like an immortal. She faintly smiled and said, "Today, our Yunlanzong holds an annual disciple training meeting. At that time, we will go to the magical beasts forest for experience, led by me and a few elders. Remember, magical beasts are very dangerous in the forest, so when you encounter high-rank magical beasts, you must not rush out. You must squeeze the signal symbol in your hand. Naturally there will be elder to rescue you. Understand?" Quote, understood. Suddenly, everyone on the court said in unison. Ning Luo looked up at own master from below. Master looks so beautiful no matter what time. At this moment, Ning Luo suddenly saw Elder, and Furukawa was also there. As Elder, the guest of the Yunlan sect, Furukawa is also eligible to participate. This time, he brought his disciples to experience, and by the way, he collected some medicinal materials in the magical beasts forest. Ning Luo and Nalan Yanran stood in front of Yun. Today, Furukawa did not come alone. He also brought a disciple, Lu Ling. Lu Ling is a disciple of Furukawa, who is about 4 or 5 years older than Ning Luo. Now he looks like 17 or 18. The cultivation base is not very high. Now he is almost a 4-star fighter. Lu Ling stood beside Furukawa, her eyes moved slightly, staring at Nalan Yanran for a long time. Disgusting. Nalan Yanran immediately disgusted. Ning Luo looked at that Lu Ling. He remembered that in the original novel, this Lu Ling was always Nalan Yanran's dog licking. It seems that here, he also likes Nalan Yanran. At this time, Nalan Yanran saw Lu Ling looking at herself. Then, she directly held Ning Luo beside her. At this moment, Lu Ling suddenly became a little angry. With a murderous look, he immediately turned towards Ning Luo. Ning Luo smiled, and then he stretched out his hand and hugged Nalan Yanran. See this scene. Lu Ling was suddenly shocked. He squeezed his fist, dripping from the dark face. At this moment, Ning Luo also found out. This Furukawa old thing has also been staring at own master. For own master, Ning Luo likes it very much. Although she is an own master, she is more like own big sis, caring for herself in every possible way. Ning Luo couldn't help feeling a little sad when thinking of Yun's ending in the Dupa sky. She fell in love with someone she shouldn't like, and finally disappointed her for life. If you are yourself, if someone treats yourself so nicely, you will never let her down for the rest of your life. Furukawa looked at own master. Lu Ling stared at junior sister Yanran. This pair of masters and apprentices is really not the upper beam and the lower beam is crooked. At this moment, Yun's words were over. Everyone is ready to go. At this time, Lu Ling slowly walked towards Ning Luo and Nalan Yanran. Junior brother Ning. Junior sister Yanran. Lu Ling hypocritically bowed to Ning Luo, and then focused on Nalan Yanran's newly developed bulge. Moreover, his expression has also become extremely wretched. Junior sister Yanran, come with me when the time comes. I am now a 4-star fighter, and I will protect you when that time comes. Seeing Lu Ling's good intentions, but Nalan Yanran didn't appreciate it at all, and quickly said, no, I am also a 4-star fighter. Just protect yourself. Then, Ning Luo took Nalan Yanran's hand and followed behind the team. At this time, Lu Ling's face showed a sullen look, and coldly said, well, you are Ning Luo. When you reach the magical beasts mountain range, no one can protect you. Yunlan mountain is steep, facing cliffs on 3 sides, and only one road can lead to the top of the mountain. It can be described as a dangerous place that is easy to defend and difficult to attack. It is a small fortress. Only 2 miles away from the foot of Yunlan mountain, there is the 50,000 cavalry stationed here by the empire. Although it is called the guarding capital, anyone can see that this is the ruler of the empire, guarding against this. The tiger with its head close to the capital. Everyone kept walking down the stone ladder of Yunlanzong. Under Yunlanzong, it won't take much distance to reach the magical beasts mountain range. The disciples of Yunlanzong drove a day's journey. Finally came to the magical beasts mountain range. Came to the magical beasts forest. In the forest, there are trees everywhere. Ning Luo took Nalan Yanran's little hand and walked in the forest. Yun is not with them, but is presiding over the overall situation. Now Ning Luo has reached the strength of a 5-star fighter, that is to say, as long as he doesn't encounter high-rank magical beasts, Ning Luo can handle it. Ning Luo planned to gather some medicine in this magical beasts forest. Because now, he has also become a pharmacist. Therefore, he always needs to find some medicinal materials to help him refine the medicine. Even if he is the core disciple of Yunlanzong, he cannot use the herbs and sect casually. At this moment, Ning Luo suddenly saw 2 people in the forest. Dan Wang Guhei, and his disciple Lu Ling. Even if Ning Luo hit Furukawa in the face last time. However, Furukawa didn't have the guts to bully Ning Luo. After all, Ning Luo was Yunyan's disciple, and Yunyan was Do Huang, he was only a Do Wang. Yunyan wanted to kill him, it was very simple. At this time, Lu Ling saw Ning Luo and Nalan Yanran. Immediately came over. Sister Xun'er, I didn't expect us to meet again. Lu Ling immediately saluted Nalan Yanran. Nalan snorted coldly and ignored him. At this time, Lu Ling's hot face was pressed against Nalan Yanran's cold ass, and her heart was extremely angry. It's all Ning Luo. If it weren't for him, why would Xun'er be dismissive of me? Ning Luo, you wait for me. Lu Ling said secretly in her heart. Looking at Ning Luo, he seemed to kill Ning Luo. At this time, Furukawa said, Xiao Ling, let's go, we are still looking for Blood Essence Lotus. At this time, Lu Ling smiled and asked triumphantly, do you know what Blood Essence Lotus is? You don't understand it at first glance, but it's right. If you don't have enough soul perception to become a pharmacist, how can you know what? Is it the Blood Essence Lotus? Blood Lotus Essence is one of the main materials for refining Blood Lotus pills. After taking the Blood Lotus pills, it will form a layer of strange energy blood yolk on the surface of the human body, and this layer of blood yolk can heal extremely the serious injury came out of the cocoon. Furthermore, the Blood Lotus Essence is an extremely rare high-grade medicinal material. This kind of medicinal material can only be found in mountains like magical beasts. Lu Ling said with a smug expression on her face, as if showing off his talent. Ning Luo was silent, because he knew what Lu Ling said was correct, but he didn't say everything. The Blood Essence Lotus does have these effects, and indeed only the magical beasts mountains have it, but it is a complicated process to distinguish the Blood Essence Lotus. Because this kind of medicinal material usually grows with Wanglian Jing, but its quantity is extremely rare, and its appearance is almost exactly the same as Wanglian Jing. If you are unfamiliar with it, it will definitely be difficult to distinguish the two. Although Ning Luo was new to the refining technique, he signed to the refining encyclopedia. This knowledge has long been in his mind. At this moment, Lu Ling saw a yellow lotus flower and immediately shouted, Blood Essence Lotus, this is Blood Essence Lotus. Hearing his yelling, everyone gathered around and looked at the yellow lotus flower. But Ning Luo sneered, because he knew very well that it was not a Blood Essence Lotus, but a normal yellow essence lotus. Lu Ling ran over excitedly, took off the Blood Essence Lotus, and came to Furukawa, showing off, Master, look, I found the Blood Essence Lotus. Ning Luo smiled, did not join in the fun, but carefully searched on the ground. The true Blood Essence Lotus usually accompanies the growth of Wangjinglian. When Lu Ling finds Wangjinglian, he is not far from the Blood Essence Lotus. At this moment, Ning Luo took a closer look. I saw a yellow lotus flower growing in one corner. Unlike other yellow lotus flowers, there was a bloody color in the middle of the lotus flower. That is the real Blood Essence Lotus. Ning Luo walked over and picked up the Blood Essence Lotus. At this time, Furukawa looked at the Blood Essence Lotus in Lu Ling's hand and couldn't help being furious. Zuzi, how did you teach you as a teacher? It is not clear between the Blood Essence Lotus and the Yellow Essence Lotus, this is obviously the Yellow Essence Lotus. At this time, Ning Luo happened to walk over with the Blood Essence Lotus. Furukawa saw the Blood Essence Lotus in Ning Luo's hand and couldn't help being shocked. Blood Essence Lotus, the real Blood Essence Lotus. Seeing the Blood Essence Lotus in Ning Luo's hand, Furukawa couldn't help being shocked. Ning Luo shook the Blood Essence Lotus in his hand and looked at Lu Ling with a smile. Brother Lu, this is the real Blood Essence Lotus, Ancient Elder, if you want this Blood Essence Lotus, how about I give it to Gu Elder? Suddenly, Furukawa hated iron and steel, and looked at Lu Ling. Turned and left. At this time, Lu Ling's face next to him was about to drip. He wanted to show a wave in front of Nalan Yanran, but he didn't expect to make such a joke. Ning Luo smiled and left with Nalan Yanran. At this time, Lu Ling coldly looked at Ning Luo's back. Ning Luo, I will definitely make you look good. With that said, he quietly followed Ning Luo behind them. Ning Luo took Nalan Yanran and continued to move forward. Nalan Yanran smiled and said, Ning Luo big brother, that Lu Ling, seems to have followed. Ning Luo smiled and said, let him follow, 4-star fighter, I didn't to put in one's eyes. At this moment, Ning Luo suddenly stopped. Brother, what's the matter? Nalan Yanran asked quickly. At this moment, the grass in front of Ning Luo and them suddenly moved. Suddenly a magical beast rushed out of the grass and came to the two of them. Ning Luo took a closer look. This is the second-order magical beast's red flame tiger. A burst of flame burned on Kai Yanyu's body, fierce and horrible. With a big mouth, he kept roaring, watching Ning Luo and Nalan Yanran. Kai Yanhu treated them as food. Brother. Nalan Yanran immediately hid behind Ning Luo, and Ning Luo stepped forward to protect Nalan Yanran. This moment, I saw Lu Ling following Ning Luo and Nalan Yanran. Seeing Ning Luo and Nalan Yanran being blocked by this magical beasts, a sneer suddenly appeared at the corner of his mouth. Ning Luo, this is tier 2 magical beasts. You are dead this time. Even if you don't die, you will be seriously injured. Then I will see how I teach you. Lu Ling hid behind Ning Luo and the others. Obviously, he wants to reap the benefits of the fisherman. Yanran, wait for me. Nalan Yanran nodded. Ning Luo said, walking towards the red flame tiger step by step. HMPH, Ning Luo, I see how you can deal with this second-order magical beasts. Lu Ling sneered in her heart. Brother, be careful, Nalan Yanran shouted after Ning Luo. Ning Luo turned his head, showing a bright smile, and then walked forward step by step. Bring it on, Ning Luo said, his body suddenly jumped out. What he used was the movement technique fighting technique, so close. Close to the end of the world is a high-level movement technique fighting technique of the heavenly rank, capable of ascension own speed in a short period of time. He suddenly jumped to Kai Yanhu, the corner of his mouth slowly raised. Little tiger, your coat made of tiger skin must be very handsome. Suddenly, Kai Yanhu seemed to understand Ning Luo's provocation, suddenly roared, and pounced toward Ning Luo. Roar, Kai Yanhu roared, and his huge body rushed towards Ning Luo. It's too late to say, then soon. Ning Luo stepped on the end of the world, and his body leapt out. Kai Yanhu pounced for nothing. The scarlet flame tiger is a second-order magical beast. It is much stronger than normal tigers. What's even more powerful is that he will burn flames on his body and spray fireballs. If he is accidentally sprayed by his fireballs, I am afraid it will be Ning Luo, also planted under Kai Yanyu's hands. Moreover, Kai Yanyu's speed is not too slow, and his attack power is also very strong, so Ning Luo can't fight it hard. Ning Luo traveled far and wide, constantly wandering around the scarlet flame tiger. Roar, Kai Yanhu continued to roar. He was constantly teased by Ning Luo, extremely angry. But its speed is not as fast as Ning Luo, he can't catch up with Ning Luo, so he can only be incompetent and furious. Ning Luo grasped this and continued to kill the fighting spirit of Kai Yanhu. At this time, the red flame tiger roared, and the flames on his body suddenly burned, its speed suddenly increased a lot, and it rushed towards Ning Luo. Ning Luo didn't expect it to be able to ascension speed in an instant. Ning Luo shot Aoki sword chi and immediately hit Kai Yanyu's body. Kai Yanhu roared and retreated a few steps. The fiery red light fluctuated violently on the narrow road, and even made the crackling sound of burning rocks. Taking a deep breath, Ning Luo narrowed his eyes slightly, quickly stepped forward half a step with his right leg, arched his left leg and squatted down, staring at Kai Yanhu. Kai Yanhu suddenly spit out a ball of fire from his mouth and rushed towards Ning Luo. Ning Luo snorted disdainfully, and immediately released the red grudge in his hand. Suddenly, the two flames collided together. Boom! A violent explosion suddenly sounded. The flame exploded in the air, and the air was constantly bursting and crackling. The two flames cancel each other out in the air. Ning Luo's body had already rushed forward quickly. Facing the red flame tiger rushed up. But he only took 3 steps forward. When the third step is taken out of the ground, a ball of flame condensed in his hand, clenched his fist, and hit Kai Yanhu with a fist. At this time, Ning Luo suddenly saw Lu Ling. Suddenly, there was an idea. Turned around and came to Kai Yanyu's side. Then he punched it down. Boom! There was a loud noise. Kai Yanhu flew towards Lu Ling instantly. Bang! There was a loud noise. Kai Yanhu hit the ground fiercely. At this moment, Nalan Yanran looked at Ning Luo, shocked in her heart. You know, this scarlet flame tiger's body is very tall, how heavy is such a huge body? But that's it actually failed to please Ning Luo, and it flew upside down under Ning Luo's grudge. Where does brother come from such power? Nolan Yanran looked suspiciously at the man who was not far in front of her. The mouth opened into an O shape, as if it could fit an egg. Brother, too strong. At this moment, Kai Yanhu landed on Lu Ling's position. Lu Ling was suddenly shocked. Kai Yanhu got up and saw Lu Ling. It is a beast, knowing that Ning Luo is not easy to deal with, so it turned its target on Lu Ling. I saw Lu Ling's legs trembling constantly. At this moment, Ning Luo saw that Lu Ling's pants were getting wet. No, is this scared to pee? In fact, Lu Ling was also the first time seeing magical beasts and had no actual combat experience at all. Seeing such a big magical beasts, I was scared to pee. In fact, if Lu Ling dared to fight, with the strength of his 4-star fighter, he should be able to barely deal with a tier 2 magical beasts. Ning Luo shook his head, a little contemptuous involuntarily. Help, Lu Ling yelled, then was chased by Kai Yanhu and fled frantically. At this moment, I saw Kai Yanhu chasing towards Lu Ling. Lu Ling was suddenly shocked. Ran away quickly. At this moment, he immediately squeezed the signal symbol. At this time, only one elder flew in front of Lu Ling in an instant. At this moment, Kai Yanhu saw that elder, immediately felt threatened, and rushed towards Ning Luo. At this time, I saw Ning Luo holding a sword in his hand. Suddenly fell from the sky. The grudge in his hand condensed and turned into an endless sword intent, instantly slashing towards the red flame tiger. Kai. Suddenly, the fighting spirit turned into an endless sword intent, which instantly penetrated the red flame tiger. The tiger has been lying on the ground, convulsing constantly. Before Elder had time to make a move, the scarlet flame tiger was killed by Ning Luo with a single sword. The Elder looked at Ning Luo in surprise, some of them couldn't believe his own eyes. The second-order magical beasts is equivalent to a strong master. But now, he was killed directly by Ning Luo of the 5-star fighter. Elder took a breath, staring at Ning Luo. This kid is so terrifying. As expected of Yunlan's personal disciple. At this time, Ning Luo came over. Ning Luo has seen Elder Xuanmu. Then Elder looked at Ning Luo, nodded, and then pointed at Kai Yanhu and said, Xiao Luo, I didn't expect you to kill the second-order magical beasts. It is the light of our Yunlanzong. Elder praised. Ning Luo hurriedly saluted. In Yunlanzong, all major elders treated Ning Luo very well. Xuanmu Elder smiled and said, well, Xiao Luo, you continue to practice, I will take this kid out first. Ning Luo nodded. Elder looked at Lu Ling and said, come out with me. Lu Ling trembling feet, looked at Elder, and nodded. Lu Ling next to him also slowed down. He only felt a little shady in his lower body. When the wind blew, it was chilly, and there was an unpleasant smell coming out, and his face flushed with shame. Elder looked down, saw Lu Ling's wet pants, and couldn't help but feel a little contemptuous. Lu Ling looked at Elder and said, thank you Elder for helping me. Elder looked at Lu Ling extremely disgustedly and said, all right, come with me, stay away from me. Lu Ling blushed, was scared to pee, shameful, at this moment he can't wait to find a place to drill down. At this time, Nolan Yanran also followed. Ning Luo big brother. Nolan Yanran called out immediately. Ning Luo looked at Nolan Yanran, smiled and said, Yanran, are you okay? What's the matter with me? It's brother, are you hurt? Nolan Yanran cared. No, Ning Luo said, HMPH, I don't believe it, unless you give me Kangkang. Nolan Yanran rushed over, and then put his hands on Ning Luo's body. Ready to untie Ning Luo's clothes and check them carefully. Yanran, what are you going to do? Give me Kangkang, are you hurt in the end? After Nolan Yanran's inspection, she was relieved. She didn't expect her senior to be so powerful, even facing the second-order magical beast Scarlet Flame Tiger, he could still be so vigorous. At this time, Ning Luo walked towards Kai Yanhu. At this time, the flames on Kai Yanhu's body were burning. Beast fire. It should be able to absorb. Yanran, protect the law for me. Then he sat cross-legged on the ground and began to absorb the beast fire from the Scarlet Flame Tiger. Ning Luo sat down in the lotus position and began to absorb the flames from the Red Flame Tiger. Although the Red Flame Tiger is only a tier 2 magical beast, Ning Luo's Yuhuohue relies on constantly devouring flames to ascension himself, so no matter what flame it is, Ning Luo will swallow it. although this beast fire is not comparable to any other kind of fire. However, for Ning Luo, something is better than nothing. This beast fire can also be used. Now Ning Luo is already a pharmacist. With the beast fire, he can take his medicine alchemy to a higher level. Ning Luo woke up from entering concentration. At this time, Nolan Yanran hurried to Ning Luo's front. "Brother, have you absorbed it?" Nolan Yanran asked. Ning Luo nodded, then stretched out his hand. Tang! Suddenly, a flame appeared suddenly. The yellow flame was exposed in front of Nolan Yanran. At this moment, Nolan Yanran was extremely shocked. "Brother, is this beast fire?" Nolan Yanran asked with her eyes wide open. "Yes." Ning Luo finished speaking, stood up and looked at Kai Yanyu's body. Ning Luo slowly pulled out the dagger, and began to peel the skin of the red flame tiger. "Brother, what are you doing?" Nolan Yanran asked. "Look, although the flames of this scarlet flame tiger have been absorbed by me, its fur can withstand the scorching of the flames. It must be very warm. If I peel off its skin and make a quilt, you don't have to use it every day. Warm me down," Ning Luo said, showing a bright smile. "Who is going to warm you up?" Nolan said in a sweet atmosphere. "If you don't warm me up, why do you come to my room every day?" Ning Luo looked at Nolan Yanran and joked. Nolan Yanran blushed immediately. "Ha, Brother Smelly, I'm ignoring you. Brother Smelly, Senior Brother Smelly, Senior Brother Smelly." Nolan Yanran kept hammering Ning Luo's chest with her small fists. After Ning Luo finished peeling the skin, he suddenly lifted a cauldron from the storage ring. Seeing the cauldron, Nolan Yanran's eyes widened. "Brother, you come out to practice, and still bring a pot." Ning Luo smiled, looked at Nolan Yanran and said, "Little girl, don't you understand? Lu Xuan once said that food is the best medicine in the world. It can not only heal your stomach, but also your heart. Therefore, only food and love cannot be disappointed. It's hard to come out once, don't we have a good meal?" Nolan Yanran was full of black lines, not knowing what to say. "By the way, not only did I bring a pot, I also brought 2 barbecue grills, yes, there are 13 incense." As Ning Luo spoke, he took out picnic utensils one by one from his storage ring. Seeing this scene, Nolan Yanran's eyes widened. She didn't know how to express her own feelings. Although she felt a little strange, what the brother said seemed to have some truth, and she could not find any reason to refute. "Ning Luo, big brother, are you here for an outing or experience?" Nolan Yanran asked, looking at Ning Luo. "Hey, life can't only be the present, there are poems in the distance. Although this is an experience, we can also live it as a tour. This is a life attitude," Ning Luo said seriously. "Then you can enjoy your food by yourself," Nolan Yanran said. "Aren't you going to eat it?" Ning Luo looked at Nolan Yanran and asked. "I want to lose weight, so I won't eat it," Nolan Yanran said immediately. "Do you really not eat it?" Ning Luo asked again. "If you say you don't want to eat, you won't eat, and the tiger is so terrible, who can eat it? Even if my Nolan Yanran starved to death today, and died outside, jumping from here, I will not eat your grilled tiger meat." Nolan Yanran folded her hands and stood aside, raising her face proudly. Ning Luo knew that Nolan Yanran was a die-hard arrogant, so he simply ignored her, and he came to the river. Then he took out the salt he was carrying with him from his arms, and went to find some honey. Then, the red flame tiger was washed, chopped, and boiled in a pot, and then the 4 tiger legs were placed on the grill. Sprinkle with Ning Luo's homemade spices. He named the spice 13 incense. After a while, the rich fragrance radiated out. The whole forest is full of rich fragrance. Then he used the beast fire he got from Kai Yanhu to raise the flame and start barbecue. Use Kai Yanhu's flames to grill Kai Yanhu's meat. It truly achieved what was taken from the people and used by the people. It is also pure green and pollution-free. Suddenly, the fragrance radiated out instantly, and the rich fragrance began to float in the air. Nolan Yanran smelled the scent and couldn't help but glanced here a few more times, but when she remembered what she had said before, she gave a cold snort and turned her head away. Ning Luo still ignored him, grilling the tiger meat in his hands. The other side, in the pot, tiger meat was also bubbling. Ning Luo put some medicinal herbs in and made a tiger medicinal soup. In fact, while grilling tiger meat, it is also a kind of cultivation. He wants to become a pharmacist. The pharmacist has extremely high requirements for fire control. A little carelessness may destroy a medicine pill, and roasting tiger meat is the control of his ability to control fire. It should not be too violent, or too violent to bake, nor too small or too small to be cooked. After roasting for a while, the aroma suddenly overflowed. Several little magical beasts poked their heads out faintly and looked at Ning Luo. Ning Luo is now a contender. Don't be afraid of these little magical beasts. With a soft drink, magical beasts immediately fled. He roasted the tiger skin into golden brown, which looked tender and delicious. At this time, he calmly brushed up the honey. Suddenly, the whole roasted tiger leg seemed to have a soul instantly, and the aroma suddenly burst out. The strong scent radiated in the air, and Ning Luo couldn't help swallowing his mouth while roasting. It would be better if we had more cumin. Ning Luo sighed. But there is no cumin in this world. He put some homemade 13 incense, and immediately, the fragrance burst into the air. Well, it smells so good. Ning Luo put it in his nose and smelled it. At this time, Nolan Yanran looked at Ning Luo with ticked eyes and swallowed her saliva. Ning Luo smiled and said, "Junior sister, do you want to eat?" "I said not to eat, I will not eat." Suddenly, Nolan Yanran turned her head, as if she could resist the temptation of fragrance. "Well, if you don't want to eat, I have to eat it, I won't keep it for you." Ning Luo said, taking a bite. Crack, crispy on the outside and tender on the inside, tender and delicious. The rich aroma exploded in the mouth, full of oily fragrance. "It's delicious." Ning Luo showed an expression of enjoyment while eating. With that said, he took another bite. At this moment, Nolan Yanran suddenly rushed over and snatched half of the tiger meat from Ning Luo's hands. "Didn't you say not to eat?" Ning Luo looked at Nolan Yanran in surprise. "Huh, you care about me." Nolan Yanran picked up the tiger's leg and immediately gnawed it down. "Well, it's so fragrant." Nolan Yanran called out immediately. "You divide me a bit, there is still my saliva on it." Ning Luo hurriedly shouted. "HMPH, you have to eat and roast one by yourself." Nolan Yanran said hard. Then he took the tiger's leg and ate it by himself, and said, fragrant, as he ate it. In a short while, Nolan Yanran ate a whole tiger leg. Then, he drank a big bowl of Ning Luo's tiger medicinal soup. Hiccup. Nolan Yanran hiccuped and sat on the ground, touching her chubby belly. "Good to eat. Aren't you going to lose weight? You still eat so much." Ning Luo looked at Nolan Yanran. "Who is that? By the way, Lu Xuan, didn't Lu Xuan say, only food and love can't be disappointed. Only when you are full can you have the strength to lose weight." Nolan Yanran lay in Ning Luo. Said beside. "What? It smells so good." At this moment, Ning Luo suddenly heard a quiet voice. Ning Luo looked up. I saw a woman approaching them. The woman's white dress and white dress, 3,000 green silks that were jet black as ink scattered like a waterfall, hanging down to the slender waist, that stunning face, like a flower in the mountains without asking for common affairs. A mortal, filled with a moving ethereal color, his eyes flowed, and what he had in his eyes was just the kind of lightness that pierced the bone, and there was not the slightest bit of eagerness to compete. "Master," Ning Luo said in surprise. Ning Luo looked at own Master Yunlan in surprise. Seeing Yunyan's beautiful eyes drifting, they looked at Ning Luo and they asked, "Xiao Luo, what are you eating? It's so fragrant." At this time, Ning Luo immediately said, "Master, this is our second-order magical beast's red flame tiger, do you want to eat it?" "Kai Yanhu, isn't this magical beast's?" Yunyan looked at Ning Luo with some surprise. "This kid, how can you eat everything?" "Yes, this scarlet flame tiger meat is delicious, Master, would you like a piece?" Ning Luo asked Yunyan. Yunyan looked at the oily fragrance from the grill. Then I was a little moved. Yunyan is a little embarrassed. She has always been dignified and reserved, and rarely eats in front of others, so at this time, she is a little embarrassed. However, smelling the scent continued to arouse her gluttons. "Master, let's have a piece, it's really fragrant." Yunyan thought for a while, then nodded. Ning Luo cut a few pairs of chopsticks and gave them a pair to Yunyan. Yunyan was very delicate and gently clipped a small piece, then covered his face with his sleeves, and finished the meat. After eating, she put down her chopsticks, smiled and said, "Well, it's delicious. Thank you Master for the compliment." Ning Luo showed a bright smile on his face. At this time, Nolan Yanran rushed over. Since eating Ning Luo's grilled tiger meat last time, Nolan Yanran has believed in Ning Luo's craftsmanship very much. Although she didn't say anything, she was full of praise for Ning Luo's craftsmanship from the bottom of her heart. It can be said that although she has been a daughter miss since she was a child, she has never eaten such a delicious meal. Ning Luo, I want more. Nolan Yanran grabbed Ning Luo's roasted scarlet flame tiger and began to eat. Ning Luo gave Nolan Yanran a white glance. But Ning Luo just didn't understand. Although she ate so much, she was not fat at all. The place that should be flat is still flat. 3 times, 5 divided by 2, they ate a red flame tiger. Ning Luo had a full hiccup and rubbed his stomach. He hadn't eaten so full for a long time. It seems that it's pretty good to be able to go out for an outing. After Yunlan finished eating, she was still calm and elegant, wiped her mouth, and smiled slightly, as if she was a little happy. Seeing such a master, Ning Luo couldn't help but want to compliment Mr. Lu Xuan. What he said was true, even a graceful and beautiful person like Master would not disappoint the food. Is it delicious, Master? Ning Luo asked as she looked at Yunlan. Yeah, Yunlan nodded. At this time, Ning Luo suddenly came over with the tiger medicinal diet soup. Ning Luo came to Yunlan's face. Master, have some soup. Yunlan nodded and finished the soup Ning Luo gave her. In fact, Yunlan has never eaten such a delicious thing. The chefs of Yunlanzong are green vegetables and radishes every day, and there is such a good craftsmanship as Xiao Luo. Finished the soup. Yunlan wiped her mouth. At this time, Ning Luo looked at Yunlan. I saw a bit of meat remaining in the corner of Yunyan's mouth. Yunlan was a little surprised. She looked at Ning Luo and asked, Xiao Luo, what are you looking at? At this time, I saw Ning Luo slowly stretched out his hand and touched Yunyan's face. Ding, touch the face of the goddess Yunlan and get a chance to sign in. At this moment, Yunlan was shocked. She grew up. No one has touched his face yet. Touched by Ning Luo like this. Suddenly, his face flushed instantly. Xiao Luo. You, what are you doing? Yunlan looked at Ning Luo, her face flushed with shame. At this moment, she suddenly felt her heart beating very fast. Why is this? He is my disciple. What am I thinking? Yunlan was extremely surprised. At this time, I saw Ning Luo picking up the remaining shreds of meat at the corner of Yunyan's mouth, and said with a smile, Master, the mouth is not clean. At this moment, Yunlan realized that she had misunderstood own apprentice. She thought Xiao Luo wanted. Thought of this. Yunyan's face was even redder. Master, what's the matter with you? Do you have a fever? Why is your face so red? Ning Luo asked quickly. Ning Luo is a human being for 2 lives no matter what, how could he not know what happened to his master? However, Ning Luo just wanted to make him shy. At this time, Yunlan stood up quickly and coughed twice and said, well, I'm going to preside over the overall situation as a teacher, you two continue to practice. After Yunlan finished speaking, she immediately turned her chi into a wing, and flew away from where she was. Ning Luo looked at Master's back and smiled faintly at the corner of his mouth. Ning Luo and Nolan Yanran continued to practice. Ning Luo has a great book of refining medicines, so many medicines have been collected in the magical beasts forest. He also killed a lot of magical beasts of Tier 1 and Tier 2, and then, Ning Luo processed their meat and placed it in the storage space. When they returned to Yunlanzong, they could have a good meal. Then, Ning Luo took out the magic core of magical beasts and used it to refine medicine. Then, this time the experience meeting is also over. The experience meeting is ranked according to the number of items obtained. Ning Luo collected so many herbs and killed so many magical beasts, and successfully won the champion of the experience meeting. Then, Ning Luo was awarded a 4th rank spirit building pill. Although the sect of Yunlan sect is not particularly large, there are still 4th rank medicine pills in Yunlan sect. Moreover, rewarding a disciple like Ning Luo, the 4th rank medicine pill, is nothing. Back in the Yunlanzong, Ning Luo came to the back mountain, found a quiet place, and began to cultivate. Ning Luo didn't cultivate in the room, because if he cultivated in the room, Nolan Yanran, the little girl, must have come to find herself again. It's okay to take a bath together. But it's not enough to disturb one's own cultivation. Ning Luo's anger has been constantly ascension during this period of time. Before taking a bath with junior sister, Ning Luo ascension directly gained the strength of the 5-star fighter. Moreover, Ning Luo found that own cultivation was very fast. The speed at which he absorbs grudge is also very fast. Although, Ning Luo signed a lot of cultivation technique and fighting technique. However, if you want to run these fighting skills, the most important thing is that your own strength can keep up. Only if the strength is strong, these fighting skills and cultivation techniques will be strong. Ning Luo ate the Zuling pill, the 4th rank medicine pill. After eating it, he could have ascension physical fitness, ascension fighting spirit quality, able to remove the impurities in the fighting spirit, and wash the marrow of the foundation building. The efficacy of Zuling pill is very rich. It is an upgraded version of foundation building Dan. The general foundation building can wash the marrow of the foundation building. But the spirit building pill is different. The spirit building pill can not only wash the marrow of the foundation building, but also make the own fighting spirit and physical fitness comprehensive. It can also change a person's aptitude. In other words, people with poor aptitudes might be able to cultivate after taking the spirit building pills. And like Ning Luo, who has a good aptitude, after eating, he will definitely be able to make icing on the cake. Saw Ning Luo ate Zuling pill. Suddenly, the billowing anger continued to enter Ning Luo's body. Ning Luo felt the flow of vindictiveness and kept cultivating. At this time, his vindictiveness continued to ascension. A few hours later, Ning Luo opened his eyes. At this moment, Ning Luo's grudge directly ascension 2 stars. Ning Luo was extremely surprised. He suddenly ascension 2 stars. In other words, he is already a 7-star fighter now. With this cultivation speed, he will be able to become a fighting master in less than a year. However, Ning Luo is also very low-key. Then, he returned to the room, took out the medicine he had collected, and began to refine the medicine. Ning Luo refined some foundation building essences. Ning Luo was able to refine the foundation building spirit essence, that is to say, Ning Luo's current level could almost be regarded as a 2nd-rank alchemist. Now Ning Luo is almost the 2nd-rank alchemist in his debut. At the beginning, Furukawa said he could not make medicine. Ning Luo tried some other 2nd-rank medicine pills. In addition, he absorbed some beast fire. Therefore, his success rate in refining medicine pill is very high. He now almost refines the 2nd-rank medicine pill with an 80% success rate. With an 80% success rate, it can be considered very high. Ding, congratulations to the host for signing in successfully and obtaining the cultivation technique. Ding, congratulations to the host for signing in successfully and obtaining the yin and yang 8 trigrams palm. Ding, congratulations to the host for signing in successfully and obtaining the ground level fighting skill, the breeze and the moon sword. Ning Luo signed a lot of cultivation technique and fighting technique. These days, Ning Luo has been pill refining, cultivation, pill refining, cultivation. The ever-changing technique, after cultivation, can obtain the ever-changing. Can become anyone or anything. Similar to the 72 changes of Sun Wukong. Can change anything, no wonder it is the cultivation technique. Ning Luo cultivated some fighting skills again. Yin and Yang 8 trigrams palm. Mingyu Qingfeng sword. Almost all ground-level fighting skills, are stronger than any kind of fighting spirit in the Yunlanzong library, and Ning Luo's current strength is not weak at all. Ning Luo has refined a lot of foundation building Lingye Mingxin pill, Qiyang pill, Peiyuan pill. Ning Luo has refined a lot of medicine pill. At this time, Ning Luo's medicinal materials were almost used up, and he kept a lot of medicine pill. At this time, Ning Luo wanted to go down the mountain to auction off these medicine pills, and then buy some medicinal materials back to refine medicine pill. Ning Luo found Master Yunlan and came to say goodbye to Yunlan. Master, I am going down the mountain. Ning Luo said directly. Down the mountain, are you alone? Yunlan asked, looking at Ning Luo in shock. Ning Luo nodded and said, yes, Master, I am now a 2nd-rank pharmacist, and I need a lot of medicinal materials to concoct medicine, and if I have been cultivating in my infancy, it may only be an ascension own level, and I cannot assess my own strength, so I want to go down the mountain and have a look. Although Yunlan was a little worried, Ning Luo was right. He couldn't live in his infancy all the time. Therefore, Yunlan nodded and agreed to Ning Luo's request. Well, when are you going to leave? Yunlan asked softly. I am going to leave tomorrow. Ning Luo said. Tomorrow, Yunlan said silently. The next day, Yunlan personally prepared a burden for Ning Luo. Ning Luo wants to go out to practice. As a master, Yunlan is of course worried about his safety, so Yunlan has prepared a lot of self-defense weapons for Ning Luo, the medicine pill for treatment. Ning Luo took the burden, said goodbye to Nalan Yanran Union, and then walked down the mountain. The dark night sky, a crescent moon, hangs lonely on it, and a faint cold moonlight is scattered on the earth. In the small dark forest, the faint bonfire beating lightly, bringing a trace of warm light to the silent night. By the bonfire, the young man leaned against the tree trunk, with the fire stick in his hand, playing with the flames a little boringly. He grilled a rabbit, ate and drank enough, then opened his bag to see what Master had prepared for himself. At this time, he opened his bag and counted the same. There were many medicine pills, fighting skills, weapons, charms, etc., but at this time, a blue soft armor suddenly attracted Ning Luo's attention. Ning Luo picked up the soft armor and sniffed it. This soft nail smells so good. It smells like a master. Suddenly, Ning Luo seemed to think of something, and suddenly blushed, and said in surprise, This won't be the master's soft armor, right? Ning Luo took the light blue soft armor in his hand and placed it on his nose to confirm it again. Yes, it does have the fragrance of master. It seems to be right, this is the master's soft armor. The soft close-fitting armor is worn close to the body. In other words, this soft armor is worn on the peaks of the master. How to say, equivalent to modern women's underwear. In this era, it should be called corset, or tube top. At this moment, Ning Luo knew that the master was really good to him. For the sake of his own safety, he had reserved his own soft armor. Doesn't this mean that the master is good to his own? Thinking of this, Ning Luo was a little angry. He remembered that in the original book, Master Yunlan also gave Xiaoyan a soft armor and saved Xiaoyan time and time again. Then, when Xiaoyan went to the Great Thousand World, he did not bring Yunlan with him. If he can become the emperor in the future, Ning Luo will definitely bring his own master. No, not only the master, but all the goddesses in this world, Ning Luo will bring them. At this time, Ning Luo couldn't live up to master's wishes. Ning Luo immediately took off his own clothes and put the master's soft armor on own. Ding, wear Goddess Union underwear and get a chance to sign in. Ning Luo was shocked suddenly. Isn't it, you can also get the chance to sign in. However, the sound of the system also proved that this is the soft armor of Master Yunlan. At this time, Ning Luo made up his mind and said, Master, if anyone dares to bully you in the future, I will let him be broken into pieces. Then, Ning Luo fell asleep by the fire and after eating and drinking enough. The next day, Ning Luo got up and continued on his way. From Yunlanzong to Wudin City, there is a short distance from the magical beasts forest, and there is also a small town whose name is Qingshan Town. Ning Luo remembered that Qingshan Town was the town where Little Doctor Immortal was located. I wonder if Little Doctor Immortal was one of the goddesses. If so, we must seize the opportunity. Get a few more sign-in opportunities, and Ning Luo can also become stronger. Ning Luo walked along the border of the magical beasts mountain range. He held a blue-silver grass in his mouth and hummed a small tune, very leisurely. Help! At this moment, he suddenly heard a cry for help. As if it was the voice of a little girl, Ning Luo suddenly got wind under her feet, and quickly walked in the direction of calling for help. Ning Luo came to the place where the little girl called for help, and saw a woman lying on the ground, 14 or 5 years old. The woman is wearing a pale white dress. Although her appearance is not stunning, she can be said to be a rare beauty. Of course, the most noticeable thing is the woman's bright purple hair. So soft and smooth and scattered, like a splashing galaxy waterfall, and a pair of purple eyes, which look very beautiful. Although she was only 14 or 15 years old, she should be convex and warped, but at a young age, she can tell that she will definitely be the master of the country when she grows up. The pair of jade rabbits on her chest seemed to be much larger than Nalan Yanran's. Ding, the goddess Xiao Yishan is detected. the goddess Xiao Yishan is in danger, do you want to rescue? Nonsense, of course rescue. Seeing the little girl fell to the ground, a few green wood snakes were in front of the little girl, and finally spit out a long letter, and they were about to rush towards the little girl. After Ning Luo saw it, he rushed out. Although he doesn't know who the little girl is, anyone will have the urge to protect when he sees such a weak girl. Ning Luo is no exception. In addition, the Aoki snake is a second-order magical beast of the wood attribute, and he now most need wood attribute magic core. So Ning Luo jumped out and came to the little girl. Ning Luo condensed the fire attribute vindictiveness, and suddenly, a flame gushed from his body, toward the green wood snake. Aoki snake was shocked, and immediately backed away. Want to go? Ning Luo needed the wood attribute magic core, how could he let it escape easily, and immediately stepped on the horizon, and his body came to the 3 green wood snakes in an instant. Little snake, obediently be my magic core. Ning Luo said, a ball of flame condensed in his hand, and his right hand turned into a fire fist, smashing it towards the green wood snake. Boom! With a loud noise, Ning Luo smashed the ground into a deep pit, and a green wood snake died directly. The little girl looked at this scene with great surprise. How could this little boy of his own age have such a powerful force? After killing a little snake, Ning Luo faced another one. The green wood snake knew that Ning Luo was not easy to provoke, so he had to flee. In fact, Ning Luo had already noticed its movement, and suddenly a green wood sword chi shot out, directly piercing the small snake. There is only one left, and it is about to escape. I saw Ning Luo squeezing the sword art. Qingfeng Mingyu's sword. Go to hell. Suddenly, a sword ray hit the Aoki snake directly along the ground. Aoki snake died directly. It's just that when Ning Luo released the arc, it was released from the ground, so even the little girl next to him did not find Ning Luo's lightning power. The 3 magical beasts were solved by Ning Luo. Ning Luo moved the bodies of the 3 magical beasts together, then pulled out the daggers, and took out all their magic cores. At this time, Ning Luo came to Xiao Yixian's side, watching Ning Luo walking towards him, could not help but said in his heart, so handsome. Ding, the rescue of Xiao Yishan succeeded and got a chance to sign in. At this moment, the sound of the system sounded. However, Ning Luo was a little surprised. Is this a chance to sign in? Don't you want to contact the goddess? Ning Luo asked in his heart. Interact with the goddess, you can get the opportunity to sign in, not necessarily contact. The voice of the system explained. At this moment, Ning Luo understood that he seemed to have misunderstood the use of the system. A living interactive system was used by him as a color criticism system. However, it doesn't matter whether it is interaction or hug. Because whether it is black silk or white silk, what you can touch is good silk. Therefore, Ning Luo didn't mind these details either. Saw Ning Luo slowly walked towards Xiao Yishan. Xiao Yixian looked at Ning Luo. The tall nose, thin lips, sword-like eyebrows flew diagonally into the black hair under the corners of the temples, and the handsome profile and facial contours were perfect and impeccable. The thick eyebrows were raised slightly rebelliously, and under the slightly curled eyelashes, there were a pair of clear eyes like sunrise, a tall nose, and pink lips like rose petals. The face is sculpted with distinct features and a handsome face with horns and horns. The appearance seems to be sloppy, but the inadvertent light in the eyes makes people afraid to ignore, and the red lips of moderate thickness are now smiling dazzlingly. What makes people most concerned is that Ning Luo's star-like eyes are like the abyss of the universe. When people look at it, they will fall into it. Xiao Yixian watched such a handsome guy save him, and his heart surged. Her legs couldn't help being clamped. Ning Luo slowly walked to the front of little Dr. Immortal. At this time, Ning Luo came to Xiao Yishan's side. Xiao Yishan's eyes widened, and said timidly, "Thank you for saving me." Ning Luo smiled slightly and asked, "Why are you here alone in the magical beasts mountains?" I'll gather medicine," said the little Dr. Fairy. "Oh, don't you see, you are still a pharmacist?" Ning Luo smiled, showing white teeth. "I'm not a pharmacist," Xiao Yishan said quietly. "Oh, why are you collecting medicine?" Ning Luo asked. "I am a doctor. I gather medicine to treat people in the village. People in the village are all infected with the plague, so I went up the mountain alone to gather medicine," said the little doctor. Physicians can also belong to the category of pharmacists, but their status is much worse than that of pharmacists. After all, they can't really make medicine pill. Only some common flames can be used to formulate the medicinal materials together to achieve the effect of healing people, but this is much worse than the medicine pill of the alchemist. Therefore, every physician has a dream of becoming a pharmacist, but many people have exhausted their lives and it is difficult to reach that threshold. In the final analysis, it is mainly because of their own talent and no one to lead them. Is your village far from here? Ning Luo asked. The little doctor nodded and said, I originally only wanted to collect some medicine outside, but I didn't expect to walk in deep into it. Ning Luo shook his head and said, well, then I'll take you back. Thank you, Grace, I don't need it anymore, I can go back by myself. Xiao Yixian said, and was about to stand up. But no matter how hard she struggled, she couldn't stand up. At this time, Ning Luo saw a wound bitten by a poisonous snake on her foot. The green wood snake is a second-order magical beast. It has a certain degree of toxicity. If it is bitten by a poisonous snake and left untreated, it may cause casualties soon. Are you poisoned? Ning Luo was shocked, and hurriedly came to the front of little Dr. Immortal. The little doctor nodded. At this time, Ning Luo asked the system, Xiao Yishan is a virulent body. Will there be any problem if I contact her? Xiao Yishan is also one of the goddesses judged by Ning Luo's system. Ning Luo can get more chances to sign in if he interacts with Xiao Yishan. Therefore, he is still a little worried about Xiao Yishan's evil body. The host's physique is the supreme divine body, and the supreme divine body suppresses all divine bodies, so the Yunlan toxic body has no effect on the host. Ning Luo felt relieved when he heard the system say so. Seeing Xiao Yishan being poisoned, the corners of his mouth raised slightly. This is a great opportunity for interaction. At this time, Ning Luo looked at the little doctor and said, the green wood snake is a poisonous snake. This snake venom is very strong. No, this poison must be sucked out, otherwise, your life will be in danger. Suck it out. Xiao Yishan asked in shock. At this time, Ning Luo grabbed Xiao Yixian's leg. Ding, touch Xiao Yishan's leg and get a chance to sign in. Then, Ning Luo gently took off the white pantyhose on Xiao Yixian's legs. Xiao Yixian looked at Ning Luo in shock, and immediately said, no, you will be poisoned. Little Dr. Immortal knew that Own had a special physique. She knew that if Ning Luo sucked Own's blood, she would not only be poisoned by snake venom, but also by her own incurable body. With her special physique, this snake venom is fundamental to her. Not affected. I saw that Ning Luo didn't listen to Xiao Yixian's advice. He lifted Xiao Yixian's thin white legs and kissed them gently. Ding, kiss Xiao Yishan's leg and get a chance to sign in. At this time, Ning Luo kissed the place where the little doctor was bitten by the snake. At this moment, Xiao Yishan was shocked. No, you will be poisoned. Xiao Yixian said immediately. Ning Luo ignored the poisonous blood from Xiao Yishan's leg. At this moment, Xiao Yishan's eyes were extremely shocked. It is too late to stop. Xiao Yixian knew from a young age that her physique was very special, and her blood was very poisonous. When she was a child, after she was cut and bleeding by plants, the plants would die. Moreover, after she was bitten by an animal, the animal that bit her died soon, so even if the greenwood snake bit her, her poison will dissipate after a while, and the greenwood snake will definitely be her. The poison is dead. Now Ning Luo sucked her blood, then, isn't it? At this time, she quickly broke free of Ning Luo and watched Ning Luo cry. Ning Luo was a little surprised. Looking at the little doctor, he asked, what's wrong with you? Why are you crying? If you suck my blood, you will die. The little Dr. Immortal looked at Ning Luo and said immediately. Before Xiao Yixian was injured, he saw Ning Luo come to rescue himself. Xiao Shan was already very moved. Later, I saw that Ning Luo was so handsome, so she had illusions about Ning Luo. When Ning Luo was desperate to absorb the poisonous blood for her, she was very moved. Although they don't even know each other, but now, in Xiao Yixian's heart, this man is already engraved in her heart. However, the man in front of him had already sucked his own blood, and soon he was going to die. Ning Luo smiled and said, don't worry, I won't die. The little Dr. Immortal looked at Ning Luo, and his heart was instantly moved. This man, at this time, can still laugh. Suddenly, there was a burst of sorrow in her heart. If Ning Luo died because of her, she would regret it forever. At this time, Xiao Yixian suddenly rushed towards Ning Luo and fell into Ning Luo's arms. Ding, the host hugs the little Dr. Fairy and gets a chance to sign in. Ning Luo was a little dazed. I saw Xiao Yixian hugging Ning Luo, and the turbulence on his chest connected with Ning Luo. Xiao Yishan is not as big as Master Yunyan, but is bigger than Nalan Yanran's. I saw Xiao Yixian holding Ning Luo tightly, tears in his eyes already streaming out. Obviously Ning Luo was just a stranger, but this stranger unexpectedly saved her at this moment. Therefore, she didn't want Ning Luo to die like this. Don't die, okay, I don't die like you. I don't want you to die. The little Dr. Immortal held Ning Luo tightly, and the huge surge made Ning Luo very comfortable. Ning Luo held the little Dr. Immortal and gently touched the slender waist of the little Dr. Immortal with his hand. Perhaps, the legs of the little Dr. Immortal were not as good as Master Yunyan, but the waist of the little Dr. Immortal was seen by Ning Luo. The thinnest waist. Xiao Yixian's waist was perfect. Ning Luo held Xiao Yishan's waist and gently comforted Xiao Yishan. Ding, stroke Xiao Yishan's waist and get a chance to sign in. Ning Luo knew in his heart that Xiao Yixian must think that he was poisoned by him and that he was going to die. However, this little doctor is quite interesting. Ning Luo suddenly felt malicious in his heart and wanted to tease this little Dr. Fairy. Suddenly, I saw Ning Luo holding Xiao Yishan, then lowered his head, closed his eyes, and leaned on Xiao Yishan's shoulder. Ding, leaning on Xiao Yishan's shoulder, got a chance to sign in. Suddenly, Xiao Yishan was shocked. She thought Ning Luo was dead. Suddenly, she cried harder. Ding, crying little Dr. Fairy, got a chance to sign in. She shook Ning Luo quickly, and shouted in her mouth, "Don't die, don't die." Ning Luo was ecstatic. This sign in opportunity is so profitable, we must seize the opportunity. At this time, Xiao Yixian let go of Ning Luo, and Ning Luo lay on the ground with his eyes closed. The little Dr. Fairy was shocked. She thought that Ning Luo was poisoned by her and was about to die like this. She shook Ning Luo. At this time, she put her hand on Ning Luo's chest and felt Ning Luo's heartbeat. Ding, contact with Xiao Yishan and get a chance to sign in. What surprised the little doctor was that Ning Luo's heartbeat was very normal. Xiao Yixian couldn't believe it. At this time, Ning Luo suddenly opened his eyes. Little Dr. Xian was shocked and looked at Ning Luo and said, You are not dead." The corner of Ning Luo's mouth curled up and looked at Xiao Yixian with a smile, who said I would die. But, my body is poisonous. All the people and small animals who touched my blood before are dead, how could you be okay? Xiao Yixian's heart was extremely shocked. Ning Luo stretched out and said with a smile, maybe my physique is rather special, you see now, I have no problem at all. Little Dr. Xian was shocked immediately. She is a doctor, and it can be seen that Ning Luo shows no signs of poisoning. How could this be? Own physique, he encountered own blood, how could nothing happen? Could it be? An idea came to mind in Xiao Yixian's heart. Could it be, he is my destined person? He appeared to protect me when I was in danger, and it was okay to suck my blood. Could it be that he really belonged to me? Is it true? Xiao Yixian raised his head and looked at Ning Luo. I saw Ning Luo's face, no matter how you look at it, it was very handsome. And his pair of gentle eyes, as if after a glance, he was about to fall for 10,000 years. At this moment, Xiao Yixian looked at Ning Luo's face and fell in love at first sight. Whether or not Ning Luo owns the destiny, she recognizes Ning Luo anyway. Xiao Yixian looked at Ning Luo with tears in his heart. What's wrong? Why didn't you speak? Ning Luo asked when looking at the little Dr. Fairy. At this time, Xiao Yixian did not speak, but saw that she looked at Ning Luo, hugged Ning Luo again, and hugged tightly. Thank you for saving me. It's great that you are fine. Xiao Yixian hugged Ning Luo and said. Ning Luo smiled and touched Xiao Yixian's head. Ding, touch Xiao Yishan's head and get a chance to sign in. After a long time, little Dr. Fairy let go of Ning Luo. What's your name? Ning Luo asked when looking at the little Dr. Fairy. Although he knew her name was Xiao Yishan, but he knew her without asking her name. Was it too deliberate and abrupt? Therefore, Ning Luo chose to ask her procedurally. my name is Xiao. Xiao said. By the way, what's your name? Xiao Yixian then asked. Ning Luo. Ning Luo responded. The little doctor immortal is like Yunlan, Xiao Yan's confidant at the time, but in the end Xiao Yan was ascending to the world, the little doctor immortal was abandoned by Xiao Yan. Not only that, the little doctor immortal also has a virulent body. To be honest, Xiao Yan Yixian is a poor man. What's wrong? Is there anything weird? Xiao Yixian looked at Ning Luo and asked. Nothing. Ning Luo said quickly. Where is your village? Shall I send you back? Ning Luo smiled. Thank you, thank you. Xiao Yixian quickly said. Ning Luo walked to the front of the little doctor, and then carried the little doctor on his back. Your feet are inconvenient, let me carry you on my back. Xiao Yixian's face was a little blushing, and he said timidly, okay. I saw Xiao Yixian lying on Ning Luo's back. The two groups were warm and soft, and they were immediately attached to Yi Chen. Ding, have physical contact with Xiao Yishan and get a chance to sign in. Ning Luo enjoyed the warmth of Xiao Yishan and walked towards Qingshan town step by step. At this time, the little doctor was lying on Ning Luo's back. I have to say that Ning Luo's back is really generous. At this moment, in her heart, she completely fell in love with this man. Ning Luo, I don't care, you are my real son. Xiao Yixian muttered on Ning Luo's back. What did you say? Ning Luo asked. No, nothing. Xiao Yixian put his head on Ning Luo's back. Xiao's face was slightly red, and a smile appeared on her face. Ning Luo carried the little doctor fairy on his back and walked towards the town of Qingshan where the little doctor fairy was. The two groups of Wen Ruan posted on Ning Luo's back. Although a little flat, they seemed to be bigger than Nalan Yanran. Ning Luo didn't think much, and took the little doctor fairy toward the town where she was. Before the sky gradually darkened, Ning Luo and Xiao Yishan finally arrived at the town closest to the Magical Beasts mountain range. The town is named Qingshan Town. It is also called Magical Beasts because of its proximity to the Magical Beasts mountains. The most crowded people in the town are naturally the mercenaries who have been adding blood all day long. They are in groups, forming a team, holding each other's arms, frothing on the street, unscrupulously discussing where the women in the town have the most flavor, where the wine is the strongest, and where the magical beasts are the most fierce. Where is your home? Ning Luo asked. Xiao Yishan pointed to the shop in front of Wanyaojai. I live there. Walking on the streets paved with bluestone, Ning Luo, carrying the little doctor immortal on his back, naturally attracted a lot of strange eyes, but he ignored it and touched the sweat on his forehead, walking slowly down the street. Because many people in the village know Xiao Yishan, and now being carried by such a strange man, it is of course strange that if Ning Luo is not a child, but an uncle, he will definitely be regarded as an adult trafficker. However, Qingshan town seemed to have a plague. Many people were lying on the ground, howling all over the field. Wanyaojai also gathered a lot of people. Ning Luo didn't think much, and walked to Wanyaojai with the little doctor immortal on his back. At this time, everyone saw the little doctor immortal as if they saw the living bodhisattva. Little doctor immortal is really a genius in terms of medical skills. Many people in the town have been rescued by little doctor immortal, so this plague, everyone put their hopes on little doctor immortal. But besides this, what can they do? For their plague, it may be easy for the pharmacist to solve it, but in their small town, where can they have the money to go to the city to hire a pharmacist? Seeing the little doctor fairy came back, the people in the town gathered and surrounded the little doctor fairy. Little doctor fairy, you are finally back. Little doctor, help us, please help us. Ning Luo slowly put the little doctor fairy on the ground, and said with a slight smile, I didn't expect you to be so popular with you. I cured many people in the town, so they can only rely on me for their illness now. The little doctor said softly from the side. Xiao Yixian looked at the people in the town, raised his voice and said, don't worry, I will work hard to develop medicine to cure everyone's disease. Ning Luo followed the little doctor immortal. Xiao Yixian is wearing a white robe. The slender waist was twisting in front of Own. She looked at the people in Qingshan town with gentle eyes, raised her voice and said, don't worry, everyone, I will work hard to develop medicine to cure everyone's disease. Luo looked at the girl in front of him. Although she was full of poison, she was a virulent body, but her heart was very kind. Ning Luo looked at these people who had suffered from the plague, and suddenly realized that there was something wrong. No, what they got was not the plague, but poisoning. Ning Luo is equivalent to a second-rank pharmacist, and can be regarded as a doctor, so he can tell at a glance that these people are not affected by the plague, but poisoned. Someone poisoned them. However, this kind of poisonous disguise became the plague, and the little Dr. Fairy could not cure them with the method of curing the plague. At this moment, a person walked into the crowd, and a middle-aged voice came in. Hee hee, little Dr. Fairy, are you back? Although the words had the meaning of inquiry, when his words just fell, his attitude was a bit tough, looking like commands, and then his face changed slightly and stayed on Ning Luo's body, his brows were slightly furrowed, and his palms waved behind him. The 4 guards filed in and surrounded Xiao and Ning Luo. Little Dr. Immortal, who is this? The middle-aged man asked without a smile as he glanced at the little Dr. Immortal, who bowed his head and was packing up things on his own. Ning Luo. Ning Luo glanced at the little Dr. Fairy, then smiled. Ning Luo. Hearing this, the middle-aged man was taken aback, and coldly said, Little brother Ning Luo, why are you with Xiao? At this time, the little Dr. Immortal quickly interrupted and said, Mr. Yao, this is my lifesaver. I went to the magical beasts mountain range to collect medicine and met the second-order magical beasts. He saved me. Oh, then I have to thank little brother Ning Luo. Although the middle-aged man said thank you, his face was not smiling, and he looked like a shrewd old fox. If the road sees unevenness, draw a knife to help, you don't have to be polite. Ning Luo said. The face twitched slightly, and the middle-aged man smiled and said, meeting is fate. Since the little brother saved the little doctor and came to our Wanyaojai, naturally I have to stay for a while. My favorite is to make friends with you. People like brothers. Ning Luo knew that Mr. Yao was not a good person. Although one raised a little Dr. Fairy, what he coveted was the little Dr. Fairy's medical skills. Xiao has already made a lot of money for him with his medical skills. This Wanyaojai can be opened so well precisely because of the little doctor. Ning Luo smiled slightly, then thank you Mr. Yao. At this time, the little Dr. Immortal pinched Ning Luo, as if to remind Ning Luo, but Ning Luo didn't care. The reason Ning Luo stayed was because of Xiao. He knew that Mr. Yao was a pervert. How could he rest assured that the little doctor would follow such a person? At this time, Mr. Yao showed a cunning smile on his face and looked at Ning Luo and said, well, little brother, you can live in our Wanyaojai tonight. Good. Mr. Yao arranged for Ning Luo to stay. At this time, he called a few guards, with a wicked smile on his face, and said, look at this kid's clothes, it looks like a fat sheep. Mr. Yao, what do you mean? The guard asked. He, since it is a fat sheep, is there any reason to not be slaughtered? Everyone is ready. Mr. Yao smiled evilly. Yes, several guards said hastily. Night. The moonlight is as enchanting. Ning Luo was placed in the guest room. At this time, Ning Luo suddenly heard a knock on the door. Ning Luo opened the door. Suddenly, she saw a figure in white clothes standing in front of the door. She quietly looked outside, and then immediately closed the door. At this time, Ning Luo was extremely shocked. This little doctor, what did he come to his room in the middle of the night for? Could it be, to repay the gratitude, so you were ready to promise each other with your life? In Ning Luo's room, Xiao sneaked into Ning Luo's room. Ning Luo, you go quickly, Mr. Yao and the others may be against you. The little Dr. Immortal grabbed Ning Luo's hand. Ding, hold hands with the goddess Xiao and get a chance to sign in. The little Dr. Immortal took Ning Luo's hand and was about to go out. What's the matter? Ning Luo asked when looking at the little Dr. Fairy. Then Mr. Yao is already eyeing you, if you don't leave, he will definitely attack you. Xiao said immediately. At this time, I saw Xiao immediately pulling Ning Luo away. Saw Ning Luo gently pulled, Xiao was instantly pulled into Ning Luo's arms. At this moment, little Dr. Xian was shocked. My heart banged bangingly. Ning Luo looked at the little doctor and asked, I'm leaving, what do you do? I think Mr. Yao won't let you off easily, right? Xiao was in Ning Luo's arms, his face flushed suddenly. I am still useful to Mr. Yao, and my physique is poisonous, and Mr. Yao dare not do anything to me, so. At this time, I saw Ning Luo lowered his head and looked at Xiao Yishan with a smile. Don't worry, there is a Mr. Yao I haven't to put in one's eyes yet. And, did you know? The people in your town are not suffering from the plague. Quote. Not the plague. Little Dr. Xian was suddenly shocked. Ning Luo continued, that is not a plague, but a kind of poison. They are all poisoned. As soon as this remark came out, Xiao Yixian's eyes were extremely shocked. At this moment, Xiao Yixian looked at Ning Luo in shock. Ning Luo, you said they didn't have the plague, they were all poisoned, then, by whom were they poisoned? Xiao Yishan asked quickly. Ning Luo smiled and said, this is a chronic poison, and it won't be fatal. Moreover, it is disguised as a plague. They are sick, and who is best for them? At this moment, Xiao Yixian's eyes showed a look of horror. You mean, also, why are the people in the entire town poisoned, but you are the only one who has no poison in Wanyaojai? Ning Luo continued. This statement came out. Xiao Yixian's eyes were even more surprised. In fact, Ning Luo has already seen from the daytime that the people in Qingshan town are sick and obviously poisoned by people. This kind of poison is called plague poison, which is very similar to plague, but this plague poison is caused by a kind of poison. People who are sick will have difficulty breathing, but they will not die instantly. But the strange thing is that no one in Wanyaojai has this disease, which explains the problem. Obviously, all this is the conspiracy of that Mr. Yao. He used this kind of poison to overwhelm the entire town, and when they developed an antidote, they would come and buy the medicine with himself. At that time, he would raise the price of the medicine and make huge profits. And Ning Luo looked like a rich kid. In such a place, no matter who Ning Luo was, no one will ever bother to die here. Therefore, Mr. Yao also wanted to do something against Ning Luo. Then, what should we do? Xiao Yishan looked at Ning Luo in surprise and asked. Ning Luo smiled and said, in this case, we will do everything. The night is dark and the wind is high. A good time to kill and overwhelm. In the extremely quiet night, Ning Luo was lying quietly on the bed. At this time, he suddenly heard a rustling sound coming from outside the door. Ning Luo knew that it seemed that Mr. Yao was about to get ready to do it. Ning Luo knew that they were going to do something, and had already been waiting for them in the room. Suddenly, someone secretly opened Ning Luo's door, and Ning Luo lay on the bed without moving, waiting for them to approach. He only heard a few people coming behind him, and they raised their shining knives, and they were about to chop them down towards Ning Luo. At this moment, Ning Luo suddenly opened his eyes. A punch with his right hand immediately pressed the man in black on the belly. Boom! There was a loud noise, and the man in black suddenly flew out. He now had the strength of a 7-star fighter, and the people who came to kill him were at most 1 or 2-star fighters, so he was killed directly by Ning Luo. This was Ning Luo's first murder, and he was a little nervous. But he understands that this is the Doqi continent, the world of the weak or prey to the strong. If he is not ruthless, he will definitely be killed by others. So Ning Luo quickly adjusted. At this moment, the remaining black-clothed men looked at Ning Luo in astonishment, and couldn't believe it. This Ning Luo hit. Even a 1-star fighter is in seconds. Who is this kid? How can it be so powerful? Ning Luo looked at them coldly, and sneered, sure enough, you really want to do something to me. Who are you? At this time, a man in black asked. Ning Luo smiled slightly at the corner of his mouth and said, you don't have to know, even if you know it, it's useless because you are about to die. What an arrogant kid, let's go together and kill him. Suddenly, the remaining 3 men in black rushed towards Ning Luo. The dazzling knife flashed a cold light in the dark night, and a big man slashed towards Ning Luo's small body. Ning Luo's feet were close to the end of the world. He imagined these people as magical beasts he had killed before, and suddenly escaped the light of the knife. At the same time, a wisp of sword chi condensed in his hand. Aoki's sword chi. It was released immediately, directly piercing the heart of the man in black. The other 2 slashed towards his flank. Ning Luo smiled slightly, stood still, and stabbed out with a sword. Die. Suddenly, his sword intent was released. Boom. There was a loud noise, and the remaining 2 people were directly bombarded by Ning Luo, hitting the wall, vomiting blood, and it was obvious that they could not survive. In an instant, Ning Luo killed 4 people. Wanyaojai. A guard came to Mr. Yao. Mr. Yao, it's not good. The guard quickly said. What's wrong, Mr. Yao? All the guards you sent were killed by that kid. The guard said. What? Mr. Yao was shocked. You know, the guards he sent are all 1 or 2 star fighters. Although 1 or 2 star fighters are not a big deal in the entire continent, they are definitely strong in Qingshan town. The kid can kill these fighters in seconds. So, this kid is also a fighter, or more than 2 stars. In other words, this child is a genius and can cultivate such a genius, then the forces behind this child. Mr. Yao can't imagine it anymore. Knowing the seriousness of the matter, he hurriedly said, let's go and have a look. At this time, Mr. Yao rushed to Ning Luo's room with a few guards. Ning Luo sat on the table with her hands in her arms, as if waiting for Mr. Yao to arrive. Mr. Yao visited late at night, don't know why. Ning Luo asked while looking at him. Mr. Yao hurriedly flattered. I heard that my little brother was assassinated on my sight. No, I just rushed over without stopping. I hope everyone will support it and subscribe more.